Welcome to the Kart Indianapolis experience at Whiteland Raceway Park. Indy's premier outdoor karting circuit, Whiteland Raceway Park, is just 20 minutes south of downtown Indy and the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Our trackside event center and high-speed go-karts make Whiteland Raceway Park the perfect destination for your next event or party. Stop in today or book your race online at racewrp.com and experience real racing right here in Indy.
We're at a commercial break.
Kyle, I need a new 219 chain, I need a 77 tooth sprocket, I need some more chain lube, and I need it probably as soon as like tomorrow. Dude, are you even listening? Like, we need this to run this weekend.
Want anything else?
What do you mean?
I already got it in the Kart on Acceleration Kart Racing's online store, bro. All orders over $200 get free shipping.
Oh, throw in a set of tires.
Done.
Everything you need, all in one place and shipped to your door for free on orders of $200 or more. Exclusions apply. Shop akr.com.
Are you ready to get behind the wheel? From Formula One to NASCAR and IndyCar, all the pros start here. For more information, check us out online at mcckarting.com or call us and go racing today.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Whiteland Raceway Park in Whiteland, Indiana with the Indy Karting Challenge. Here we are on our day 2 of the doubleheader in our afternoon sessions. I'm Stuart Luhigo, and I'm joined here by Vince Haddon. We're going to be your commentators for this whole week. Today is all the time we've been commentators, but yeah, we're going to be covering this afternoon our heat races going into our finals. We've seen a lot of interesting stuff this morning as well as yesterday, so it's going to be interesting to see how this afternoon session kind of brings everything to a close. But this is round 7 of the Indy Karting Challenge. You can see on screen the ways that you can follow us on social media. You can go to racewrp.com to visit our website, get plenty of information on Whiteland Raceway Park, as well as specifically how to join the Indy Karting Challenge here. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube with the handles that are on screen now. As well, there is a QR code for our Discord, which is pretty critical if you're interested in some of the more details about everything that's going on. That's where we post all of our results, officiating calls, any other critical information what's going on here at Whiteland Raceway Park, so I highly recommend you do follow that Discord link on there. This morning, if you have tuned in then, we started out around 67 degrees, but right now we're sitting at about 80. So very different track conditions from our morning to our afternoon sessions. And considering a lot of our drivers do run both the morning and afternoon sessions, that means that while there is definitely some knowledge that transitions over, it's not going to be 100% the same track that they're racing on. Our first class this afternoon is going to be the 206 Supermasters.
Yep, starting on pole is going to be Travis Wilbur. Outside of him is William McLaughlin, followed by Jason Ewers, Tom Stevens, Richard Lowe, Scott Galladay, Joseph Stevens, Larry Pike, Richard LeMasters, and Wesley Bullock.
They're gridding up right now. Did not quite start getting in formation maybe at that cone like they were supposed to, but at this point it looks like we're finally starting to get into formation.
Waiting for the green flag from head flagger Adam Burrows, and we are green into turn 1 we go.
That was one of the better starts from the outside row that we've ended up seeing today. Still side by side there, contesting for second place, as it seemed like the car on the outside got a little loose through that corner.
Yeah, a little loose, and that has allowed Travis Wilbur to get out to a pretty good early lead over Jason Ewers with William McLaughlin right behind him.
We have a car that goes off.
Yeah, it looked like he just kind of was pushing wide, dipped a tire, not quite sure who that is. But unfortunate as he's going to lose the draft early on in the race.
Yeah, what doesn't always come across on camera is that on the outside of a corner, there tends to be what is known as marbles, small bits of rubber from the tire that end up washing out to that side of the track. And considering most of the time karts aren't racing there, it can build up over time, make that area really slick. That might have played a little bit of a role in going that far wide in that corner.
As they cross the line that time, Travis Wilbur already has over a second lead on Jason Ewers. This field's really going to have to get their act together if they want to have any chance of catching up to Wilbur. Outside of that, Ewers has a pretty good gap over McLaughlin, and McLaughlin pretty big gap over Ford. Your front 3 really running away with it so far.
Yeah, for those unfamiliar with our format here for our heat races, it's 5 minutes plus 2 laps. So definitely nowhere near as long as our finals. That means every second ends up counting. And especially things like that start and trying to stay in contention from there is going to be really critical. But as we can see, Wilbur just really starting to run away with it early on. And the bigger gap that you can build early on, it's just going to be significantly harder for anybody to close that throughout the rest of this race.
Seems really most of the field is spread out. The closest battle we have is for the 4th place between Tom Stevens and Richard Lowe.
Yeah, just as a comparison on that last lap, Wilbur went 56.794. The fastest lap from there was a 57.594. So absolutely blitzing just in terms of pace between the two. It's no longer just about, you know, the start and just the immediate warm-up phase. I mean, just that's an incredible pace difference to be holding.
Once again, the rest of the field really spaced out. Even that battle for 4th is starting to gap a little bit as Tom Stevens is trying to drive away from Richard Lowe. A little farther back in the field, there's a battle for 8th forming between Joseph Stevens and Wesley Bullock. that last time by, Wilbur had opened up that gap to over 2.5 seconds. Again, everyone else is spread out, and we have another battle back in the field. It looks like that's the battle for 9th between Wesley Bullock and Jason Irvin.
Yeah, they're really the only two karts that are close to each other on track right now. There was a little bit of side-by-side action for the first corner all the way up and through the Death Valley set of corners. Already going to the 180 though. They seem to have spread out quite a bit. Maybe a little bit sideways coming out of there, but still plenty of gap that number 9 is built in.
Looking back at the front, Ewers was able to close that gap quite a bit. It started out at 2.5 seconds. It was down to 1.8. It might be a little too late though, as we have just about 30 seconds plus 2 laps remaining in this heat race.
Yeah, that last lap seemed to be definitely off for Wilbur there. 57.543 when his best is a 56.387. So either some kind of mistake or, I mean, just a huge drop off in pace there. But that was, I think, the first time throughout this entire race that we've seen the gap close as opposed to continue to grow significantly.
Yeah, and it closed again just a little bit there last time by. It dropped closed about by 0.2 down to 1.5 seconds. Don't think he's going to have enough, but definitely now he might be able to see kind of Wilbur falls off towards the end of these races. Something interesting to watch come on.
Looks like clock ran out a little bit ago, so we're getting ready to go for 2 to go. See the head flagger preparing for that, Adam Boros.
Meanwhile, the battle for 6th is heating up again between Galladay, Stevens, and Pike. All within about 0.2 of each other, so we'll see if we can get some fireworks here on these last couple of laps and move some positions.
Official 2 to go signal given this time by. Wilbur still with a pretty significant lead. I think the gap continued to close, 1.1 between the two.
And it looks like Richard Lemasters just had a quick little pirouette spin into Death Valley, but he gets it going again, no issue. Meanwhile, that battle for 6th, bumper to bumper going into turn number 1.
I mean, we might actually start seeing some pressure on the lead.
Yeah, they were able to clear the lap car very easily there, but Ewers is definitely gaining. Coming into the middle oval section, they are close. Does Ewers have anything for him? He does not at the end. Travis Wilbur will take home the heat race victory. However, Ewers did close that gap quite a bit those last couple of laps.
Yeah, the gap of the line was 0.284. That's a lot closer than we saw in the beginning. I mean, honestly, it looked like Wilbur was just going to completely run away with it. But in the end, as we came around the stinger corner for that last time, it really seemed like that gap was, I mean, like there was maybe even a possibility. Crazy to just see that lap time difference. Wilbur at the end was doing a 57 flat, whereas Ewers was doing a 56.570, so I mean that's a significant gap to be closing each lap. So I don't know, Vince, what do you think was the difference there? Just setup or?
Really, it could be a number of things. Definitely set up a lot of these guys. They're better at the start and they fall off. If you play with tire pressures a lot, you can go up there, make yourself a lot better at the end of the race. So definitely something to keep an eye on come final time. So once again, Travis Wilbur, your 206 Supermaster Heat Race winner. Jason Ewers, P2. William McLaughlin, 3rd. Tom Stevens, 4th. Richard Lowe rounding out your top 5. Scott Galladay, Larry Pike, Joe Stevens, Jason Irvin, Wesley Bullock, and Richard Lemasters round out your field.
Yeah, what I found particularly interesting there is just that Wilbur overall still had the fastest lap time, but at the end, I mean, the pace just seemed to disappear. So, and it did kind of seem like if we were to go a lap or two more there would have been some real pressure on him. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out in the final.
Oh, absolutely. If I'm Wilbur, I'm looking at the data, I'm seeing what happened there, and I'm throwing a little bit of changes to this thing, trying to make sure I'm better towards the end of the race, because like you said, 1 or 2 more laps, and I think Ewers would have got him there.
Yeah, we're going to go to a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back with you.
Colin, I need a new 219 chain. I need a 77 tooth sprocket. I need some more chain lube, and I need it probably as soon as like tomorrow. Dude, are you even listening? Like, we need this to run this weekend.
Want anything else?
What do you mean?
I already got it in the Kart on Acceleration Kart Racing's online store, bro. All orders over $200 get free shipping.
Oh, throw in a set of tires.
Done.
Everything you need, all in one place and shipped to your door for free on orders of $200 or more. Exclusions apply. Shop AKR.com.
Welcome back to Whiteland Raceway Park as we are getting ready to go green for your Micro Swift heat race. Just 3 karts in the field today. Reagan Hodges on pole, Liet Simonelik P2, and Patrick Manili P3.
Yeah, you'd think with so many karts it would be easy to slow down at that yellow cone for the formation. Didn't seem like they exactly followed the race direction there, but seems like luckily they were still able to form up before those tram lines. Waiting for the green right now, and it's green, green, green.
And it's Hodges to the early lead. Turn 1, Simonelik trying to hold it on the outside. Can't quite get it done there.
A little bit of a look on the inside through this next set of corners, though. It's real technical through here. Very easy to set yourself off on one of the first corners, and next thing you know, you're just in the wrong rhythm for the rest of them.
It looks like Simonelik's going to try the over-under. He is on the inside. It's a drag race on the first lap down the backstretch. Hodges is going to be one who backs out and lets Simonelik to the point.
Yeah, I think in the end there it just ended up being a question of, you know, how much risk was Hodges willing to take. And yeah, I think overall it's best for that race to, you know, back off just to not cause a potential accident in there. But very interesting just how well Simonelik was able to set up that over-under through that sequence of corners. And now building somewhat of a healthy gap to Hodges.
Yeah, it looked like it all started. Hodges went a little wide on the entrance to Death Valley and just took a little bit to get regrouped. And then having to back out, going through the switchback before Daytona, it can really take your momentum away, get you in a funk. So we'll see how quickly she can rebound.
Yeah, and it was good that Simonelik was able to spot that early on within that sequence of corners. And, I mean, it was obvious from here, setting up the switchback before the back straight, knew what he was doing to try and make that pass work. Lap times on the last lap just came in. Reagan Hodges with the fastest lap, 55.642, whereas Simonelik was at 56.211. That's a pretty significant gap between the two in terms of lap time, and that allowed Hodges to close the gap to just 0.4 at the line.
That's going to allow Hodges to come up right on Simonelik's back bumper, but again, she takes that right-hander in Death Valley a little bit wider than we've seen a lot of people take it all day, and she's going to lose all that momentum, and that gap's going to grow just a little bit again.
Yeah, it definitely seems that she has the pace to stick with it up there. Maybe just that one corner. If you get rid of that, it seems like she's really right on it. But it's going to be interesting to see if she's able to set up the same kind of thing that Simon Ellick set up. I think that if she does try to attempt that same kind of thing, maybe sacrifice a little bit into one of those corners to put you in the best place to do it over-under right before the back straightaway, then she might be able to get past Simon Ellick. But at this point, the time's ticking away. I mean, you don't want to go too aggressive, but at the same time, you can't keep trying the same thing over and over again. So we're going to see if she does anything differently this lap. I mean, not really even within striking distance at this point, though. So, last lap for Simon Ellick was 55.640. Hodges 55.934. So she dropped off the pace a little bit compared to the previous lap, and as well, it seems like Simon Ellick just picked up the pace to kind of match what Hodges was able to do. So this time around, I guess it'd be a similar story.
This time by 55.7 for Simon Ellick, 56.3 for Hodges. But Hodges has definitely shown the pace in this. I mean, if you look at best overall lap times, Simon Ellick is purple with that 55.640. But Hodges is only 2 thousandths behind with her best lap of a 55.642.
Yeah, the question is really going to be more of consistency. Is she able to keep that pace? Because right now it doesn't exactly look like that's going to be the case. Continuing to drop off the back there with a 1.2 second gap, which is relatively significant, especially for how much time we have left on the clock. We just hit under 60 seconds, or we're at about 40 seconds now.
Yeah, so it looks like we're going to have 3 laps to go this time by. Hodges, if she wants to start inside on the front row for her final, she's really going to have to dig her heels in and go. Another purple lap by Simon Ellick, a 55.60. He is running almost a second faster lap than Hodges is right now.
Yeah, official gap between the two at the line, 2.225. That is significant. And I mean, the fact that he's been able to really just pull that within the last couple of laps when there was a moment where it did really look close between the two is very impressive.
Kind of a similar story as the 206 Supermasters. You have one driver slowing down as the heat race wraps up and another one picking up the pace. So definitely some different ideologies in the setups for this heat race, and it'll be interesting to see what their tuners throw at them for the final. Yeah,
we might see a bit of a change in philosophy on how exactly they're going to approach this, because clearly you know, it just seemed like this didn't exactly work out maybe as planned for Hodges. Ideally, you know, if you have a setup that's going to activate earlier on, then you need to capitalize that on when you can. Get in front and pull out the lead so that when your setup starts to fall away, you have a gap to fall back on, which is exactly what we ended up seeing in the last race. But it just seems like Hodges wasn't able to capitalize that maybe when the setup was more so within her range.
Yeah. Absolutely. As we are at 2 laps to go, the gap grew to over 3.5 seconds. All Simon Ellick has to do is smooth hands, and I think Hodges, they go back to the drawing board, figure it out for the final, and good luck then.
This time around, we can see the head flagger Adam Boros waving the white flag for indicating that this is the last lap. That last lap, Simon Ellick went faster again, 55.596. Reagan Hodges did a 56.591. Patrick McNeely is going across with a 57.630.
So once again, just a second a lap faster by Simon Ellick. He is really hitting all of his points out there right now, all of his marks. Definitely going to have to feel good walking away with this heat race win. Looking back on the season, Hodges is the championship leader in this class, so definitely boosts the confidence for Simon Ellick to be the one out front right now.
Yeah, overall, even though in the beginning, Simon Ellick didn't necessarily have it easy with quite an interesting battle with Hodges at the beginning. Since then, it's been a commanding lead, and Simon Ellick is going to win the heat race.
Simon Ellick P1. Hodges coming across the line, P2. And Patrick McNeely rounding out.
Are you ready to get behind the wheel? From Formula One to NASCAR and IndyCar, all the pros start here. For more information, check us out online at mcckarting.com or call us and go racing today.
Welcome back to Whiteland Raceway Park as we are getting ready to go green for our mini Swift heat race. Danny O'Gara starting on pole with Dominic Gaddis on his outside. Will Feistinger, Josh Avalos rounding out row 2. Lincoln Willie, Dalton Sears row 3. Titus Roberts, Austin Taylor row 4. And Kason Hendrickson and Bentley McCann bringing out your field.
Yeah, O'Gara absolutely flew out of the pits there, then started to slow down as the grid now starts to form up for the start.
Yeah, this has been a real point of emphasis from the race director this year for the cadet classes. Is just a nice slow roll into the tram lines. Make sure we get a good start.
We have a green, green, green now. It looks like O'Gara is able to hold on to the lead. We see
we have
a
a car
Kart
upside down. Upside down. Driver is out of the car and okay. That is a scary incident, but the driver has hopped out of the car and is okay.
Looks like we have a red flag situation now. Red flag out on track. That means all the drivers are expected to come to an immediate stop, regardless of any other circumstances. So interesting to see that they're kind of still inching forward over there, but as we now are fully responding to that red flag situation, seeing that the driver did get up, we're hoping to see that they're okay, but we will get back with more information as we get it.
tangled somehow. He slipped. He ended up breaking his collarbone. I saw him get up and I saw him slip.
He wasn't on his back.
I think we're looking at his
He was
back.
like, yeah, I know. That's right.
And then we were at another track and I was standing at the barriers watching, and this car, it just went loose, and that kid comes flying in and hit those barriers, and his head hit the barrier. Took everything off. Just instantly. What part of Michigan are you guys from? Okay. Okay. I spent many a summer over here when I was living. Oh, okay, okay, yeah, okay. Yeah, spent many of the summers over here.
Welcome back to Whiteland Raceway Park. After that scary incident, we can confirm that the driver was the number 24, Austin Taylor, but he has been up and moving around, communicating with our staff and EMTs. So glad to see that that young driver is okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to see just how quickly all of our track staff ended up reacting to that with a very quick red flag. And now that we have confirmed the driver is okay, we are okay to show the replay of what exactly happened during that incident. So as you're watching on screen now, you can see as we come around through the first corner, as you watch just a lot of karts that ended up getting together, and then it was just wheel-on-wheel contact that sent the car to the side, and then from the side, just the tire ended up grabbing onto the ground, which ended up causing the kart to turn over, and then immediately the driver ran off the track. And it was definitely clear that just with that whole incident that it was just an unsafe enough situation where we needed to go to the immediate red. This is our overview shot that does give us a little bit of a better look at what exactly happened there. Some karts getting a little sideways through the first corner, and then just this whole, where we go, end up 4 wide over here. That's what really caused it. These karts coming together, wheel-on-wheel contact, and that's just always gives the possibility for a kart to kind of go up in the air, and then once those wheels caught on the ground, that just ended up causing the car to overturn. And then you can see pretty immediately here the reaction as all the track workers went over to go and assist in the situation. So just glad to see that everybody's okay, and of course, great reaction from all the staff here to make sure that situation was taken care of quickly.
Yeah, Stuart, that just looked like one of those classics, wrong place, wrong time. Austin Taylor really didn't do anything wrong there. He was holding to the inside as best he could. He could see the karts to his outside. Someone gets turned in front of you, and you have nowhere to go. Like you said, glad to see that Austin Taylor is okay. Back to the racing itself. That was on the start, so that means we're going to be doing a complete restart. Welcome back to Whiteland Raceway Park as our karts are rolling again. Once again, it will be a complete restart. However, all the karts that were involved in the incident, so that would be the 7 of Andrew Avalos, will be moved to the tail for his involvement in the wreck.
Yeah, we did double check on all the rules and everything up here. Since a full lap was not completed, there's very little way to do an accurate and consistent way of giving positions after a start like that. So what we're going to do is just a complete and total restart. But again, those involved in the incident do have to return to the back of the grid. Other than that, we're looking at yet another start under nearly the same conditions.
All right, let's hope for a better start this time, a safer start, as we see the karts come into a slow roll as they exit the oval.
Yeah, glad to see that they ended up forming up a lot earlier this time than they did the last time around.
Yep, as a slow roll into the tram lines. Waiting for the green flag. And we are racing again with our Mini Swift heat race. Through turn 1 again, 2 and 3 wide, coming through turn 2 and 3. Everyone making it safely through right now as we enter the Death Valley complex. Right now it is Danny O'Gara out to an early lead. Will Feistinger right behind him, and Dominic Gaddis in third. Coming to complete lap number 1, it's still O'Gara out front, Feistinger P2, Gaddis P3.
We've already started to see a significant spread at the front, gap of 0.8 at the line, obviously. And yeah, from there, there's an interesting train of cars right behind for that second place. And the real question is anybody going to be able to fully challenge O'Gara as this race begins to develop?
Yeah, O'Gara is always fast here in the Swift category. So are his MPG teammates in second and third, Feistinger and Gaddis. Trying to catch up to Gaddis, we do have the 44 of Lincoln Willie as Gaddis gets a little sideways exiting Daytona turn. That's going to allow Willie to really close up that gap.
Yeah, also of interest is that line of 4 karts there towards the rear of the field. All of them some pretty close as we have contact and 2 karts going off through the middle.
That's your second and third place runners and teammates of Will Feistinger and Dominic Gaddis. Those two were working hard, pushing each other hard, trying to catch up to Danny O'Gara. Whoa, Gaddis gets squirrely going into 1, almost clips another kart behind him.
Yeah, interesting to see all of that unfold so quickly. As, like you mentioned, teammates, not exactly something you want to be seeing.
Not at all, Stuart. And I'm sure the MPG Motorsports and Race Factory tents got to be a little disheartened to see that with 2 of their top drivers. Only good news here is it is just the heat race, and it's early on. You have plenty of time to work your way back up. That's going to give Lincoln Willie second place and Titus Roberts third.
All right, as you turn your attention to the corner of the screen, we do have a replay of what exactly happened there in the inner hairpin. So as the karts come around here, just keeping the nose right in there, and then that just caused that wheel-to-wheel contact, sent both of the karts kind of up in the air, and then they just had to go through the grass since they were so far offline at that point. They just lost a lot of positions in the process.
Yeah, Stuart, Gaddis has made that pass there all day long, just didn't get it right this time. Might have just misjudged his entry point, and it turned out catastrophic for the 2 MPG Motorsports karts.
Yeah, the question is now, what recovery is possible in this heat race before the final? How high can they get up so that when we get to that final, they're in a good grid position where they can really be able to challenge for the win here?
Well, for Gaddis, he's already back up into position number 5 and right on the rear bumper of another teammate of his, Dalton Sears, so maybe could get up to 4th there, but for Feistinger, things are not looking good as he drops all the way back to 8th position.
Yeah, that's really difficult for him to see. Interesting, Gaddis just set the fastest lap that last time by, 52.741. O'Gara at the front running a 52.924, so only marginally faster than O'Gara and lots of karts in between, but still interesting to see the pace comparison as we have a little over a minute to go on the clock.
Yeah, and Gaddis was able to get past his teammate Dalton Sears and move himself up to P4. Now he's got his sights set on the black 19 of Titus Roberts, doing everything he can to limit the damage of his incident. Roberts himself in third place is chasing the 44 Amex racing machine of Lincoln Willie, trying to put himself on the front row. At the line, the gap between Willie and Roberts is going to be half a second. Gaddis is starting to separate himself from Sears behind. We'll definitely be interested to see the gap between third place Titus Roberts and fourth place Dominic Gaddis this time by, as it looks like it may be 2 to go. It's going to be close.
Yeah, at least according to the panel outside, the time is now at 0, which does mean that this next time by will be 2 to go.
Yes, it is. 2 sticks in the air for your leader, Danny O'Gara, just out there pounding it. Meanwhile, Dominic Gaddis has caught up to Lincoln Willie and Titus Roberts. He's going to be drafting behind him. Let's see what he can do with these two on these final 2 laps. Does he make a move?
Yeah, obviously what's ideal for him is to hopefully get back up into that second place so we can challenge O'Gara as we see a move on the inside there.
Yeah, he gets past third place Titus Roberts. There's inside of Lincoln Willie. Can he clear it? He does, slides wide. Willie's going to try to hold it on the outside, maybe an over-under. Can he hold off Gaddis? Down the long run of the backstretch, Willie gets it back, entering the switch back into Daytona.
Yeah, Willie had a huge push out of the exit there, and that was what allowed him to get right past Gaddis again.
Gaddis all over the rear bumper of Lincoln Willie, trying to put himself back on the front row, on the inside, going into the oval. This is where he had contact with Feistinger earlier, and this time it sticks. Put Gaddis into P2.
Yeah, made it work through the Stinger oval there, which is going to be crucial, but again, more pressure into the first corner.
Willie to the inside, and Willie back up to P2.
Impressive to see all this back and forth action, but obviously that's bringing all the karts behind right into the mix as well. It's now a train of 6 karts.
Roberts to the inside of Gaddis. Oh, Roberts contact with Gaddis pushes wide. That's going to let Willie walk away with a big gap from second to third.
Yeah, that was pretty significant contact there.
Roberts still in third. It looks like he's got Sears behind him now, and then Gaddis back to 5th. Willie gets there through. Danny O'Gara takes the checkered flag to win your mini Swift heat. Willie's going to hold on to second. Gaddis makes a pass on Sears again. Second place, Lincoln Willie. Titus Roberts third. Dominic Gaddis fourth. Dalton Sears fifth. Joshua Avalos sixth. Jason Hendrickson seventh. Will Feistinger eighth. And Bentley McCann ninth.
Yeah, quite a chaotic race there. Lots of chaos at the first start and then plenty of incidents throughout, but O'Gara came out on top with a significant 7.9 second gap to second as we're going to get ready to take a look at a bit of a review on that incident there between some of the karts.
Yeah, Stuart, that was just a very chaotic race as you're pulling up the replay here.
So just as all these karts got together, you see that move the number 19 ended up washing a little wide and going maybe a little bit deep into that 44, and that's what ended up actually causing the incident. Just that wheel-to-wheel contact ended up launching up and then into the 14, which obviously slowed him down, and then all the way ended up behind the 324, but then a little bit of a switchback and almost 3 wide for a moment there.
Yeah, it looked like Titus Roberts just really drove it in deep there and hopped the curb, and that's what really started the whole incident. But just think, this was just the heat race. We still have 9 minutes plus 2 laps final for these kids. So definitely going to be very exciting as we are getting ready to go green for our 206 heavy heat race. That guy's on pole Evan McCorkadell P2, Troy Toney third, and Adam Dietz in fourth.
Again, Kart's absolutely flying by that cone that was noticed in the race race director's notes as where you were supposed to form up, but luckily they did still form up before we got to the tram lines. We're now waiting for the green flag.
And we are green for 2:06 heavy heat racing. It's Matt Geist in early lead. Troy Toney gets past Evan McCorkadell for P2, and Adam Dietz rounding out your. McCorkadell looks to the inside of Toney. It's a drag race down the backstretch. Corkadell getting pushed by Dietz. They both make it past Troy Toney as Toney will drop from second to fourth, and now quite a little gap forming as he had to lift just a little bit to get through Daytona safely. Just under 2.5 minutes remaining and plus 2 laps, and it's still Matt Geist out front, Evan McCorkadell P2, Adam Dietz third, and Troy Toney. On track, Evan McCorkadell has got right to Matt Geist's rear bumper. Corkadell's very cool and collected. He purposely puts his car where he wants to put it, so we'll see if he's going to ride behind Matt Geist for a little bit and try to increase this gap to third place Adam Dietz, or if he's going to try to take point. Just under a minute to go, and we still have 2 discrete groupings as McCorkadale sends it up on the inside of Matt Geist. McCorkadale to the point, and this is going to allow Adam Dietz and Troy Toney to get closer as there we go. Geist around, trying to get back again. Geist back to the point as we enter down the valley. Here comes Adam Dietz looking on the inside of McCorkadale, can't get it done, backs out of the last second. McCorkadale looking for an over-under move on Geist. Try and get it. Still pushing, get it back out just enough to still suck up to that draft and try again next time by.
Yeah, pretty significant amount of action there as now all 4 karts are, just bunched up even closer. You can see, I'd say a little bit of airtime coming through the 180 there, based
absolutely.
on the camera angle.
As they're coming through the Stinger Oval, Adam Boros giving them 2 laps to go.
2 to go. Fastest that last lap was McCorkadale.
Through turns 2, 3, and 4. Guys still out front. Little bit of a gap there between 3rd and 4th, Adam Dietz and Troy Toney. Corkadale sends it up on the inside in Death Valley. Can he make it stick? No, he cannot, but he's going to try the over-under move on Matt Geist. Drag race down the back straightaway, heading to the switchback. Geist lifts just enough. McCorkadale to the point.
Yeah, that last lap, everybody was in a relatively close time to each other, and we're seeing that close up even more.
Yeah, it's going to be a very interesting last lap here as they come through the oval to take the white flag. McCorkadale out front, Geist right behind, and then Adam Dietz. Troy Toney's still there, but he does have about a second gap to 3rd place. And Adam Dietz trying to go on the inside in turn 2 through Matt Geist. Can he make it stick? Yes, he can. Adam Dietz up to P2 as he's going to try to chase down Evan McCorkadale in the last half of this lap. Adam Dietz doing everything he can to suck up to McCorkadale's rear bumper. Not quite there yet. Not going to have a chance entering the 180 complex, but if he gets through here perfectly, he might have a chance entering the oval. Oh, little airtime there for Dietz as he clips the curves through the grass. Saves it, hangs on to it. He's going to try to hold off a hard-charging Matt Geist. And Adam Dietz went off-roading, but he still brings home 2nd. Evan McCorkadale P1, Matt Geist 3rd, Troy Toney 4th. I'll tell you what, Stuart, this class may only have 4 karts, but that was an exciting finish.
Yeah, it certainly was. Interesting to see there that it seems like the top 3 karts got a significant amount of airtime coming out of the 180, and obviously you have to wonder if that just ended up throwing him off a little bit going into there, and maybe that was why he went off into the grass, but it's hard to tell.
Yeah, no, it looked like he went a little wide exiting the 180 complex, and then that right-hander hopped up on the curb a little bit, got up on 2 wheels, planted, and by the time he planted it, he just didn't have enough time to make the corner without cutting through the grass.
Yeah, really interesting to see there. Hopefully we see a lot more of that action in the final, and hopefully all 4 of them are right in the battle for the win there.
Welcome back to Whiteland Raceway Park as we are getting ready to go green for our KA Junior Heat Race. Ryan Mort, Landon Boer on the front row as they enter your tram lines, waiting for the signal from our head flagger, Adam Boros. And it is green flag as they go through turn number 1. Looks like everyone gets through clean. We got a battle for second between Boer and Klein. Klein seems to be able to hold him off for now, allowing Mort to get just a little breathing room. Boer back to the inside. He doesn't want to give P2 up that easy. And Boer gets it done back up to position number 2.
Yeah, well, there wasn't a lot of movement initially in that first corner. Through the next set of corners and through Death Valley, it was certainly visible, just the amount of back and forth that we saw between a lot of the karts, and just that standard, trying to compromise in one corner to hopefully maximize in some of the other ones. As it does seem like a couple people get a little bit squirrely coming out of the 180, as well as a lot of people really hitting that curb before they get into the Stinger Oval section.
Yeah, absolutely. It is starting to be a little treacherous exiting the 180 complex. One lap into this thing, Ryan Mort leads Landon Boer, Adler Klein, Thomas Anthony, and Mason Gallion as your top 5. Right now, the best battle is that battle for third between Klein and Anthony. These two had a good battle with 206 Jr. earlier in the day.
Yeah, taking a peek over at ambient temperature, we've gone back up from 80 to 81, and obviously the sun's out. You have to wonder, is that starting to heat up the track some more?
Meanwhile, Anthony making a move on the inside of Klein through the 180 complex, and he gets it done. Move Thomas Anthony up to P3. Crossing the line, got a little bit of a gap back to second place Boer. Then that battle for third between Anthony and Klein. And then you have 3 karts bumper to bumper battling for fifth, Galen, Stoner, and Van Dyke. Van Dyke making a move on AJ Stoner through Death Valley. Can he make it stick? Yes, he can. And oh no, AJ Stoner is slowing on the... It looked like he slowed down. Don't know exactly the extent of what happened, but he's back up and running now.
Yeah, kind of weird. Just didn't seem to get much drive out of there.
Yeah, that's going to drop him all the way back to 9th and a lot of ground to cover if he wants anything to do with a better starting position for the final.
Across the line, Mort, Buer, Anthony, Klein, Galen, Van Dyke, Laser, Patton, and then Stoner.
Just under 2 minutes to go, and Ryan Moore and Landon Boer, the 2 MPG Motorsports karts, having a pretty healthy gap back to third place. Thomas Anthony of AMAX Racing. Adler Klein's doing everything that they can to close up to Anthony and make this more of a fight, but right now your top 4, top 5 have a nice little gap to the rest of the field.
Yeah, as we were exiting the Death Valley set of corners, it seemed Patton got a little bit wide on the exit there, and that allowed Stoner to close some of that gap up and put a little bit of pressure into the 180.
Yeah, AJ Stoner, after that incident, he just turned his fastest lap of the race, a 50.815, just 0.3 slower than the purple time, and he is driving as hard as he can, trying to get what little positions he can to salvage this heat race.
Yeah, him and Patton are battling pretty close right now, as you could see, giving some defensive lines as they go side by side through the switchback. What a move.
Give the position to Stoner. AJ Stoner moves up to P8 after a daring move through the switchback in Daytona corner, and that's going to put him right on the back of the number 8 of Lucian Lazier.
Yeah, going to be interesting to see if that momentum can continue.
Really, the only battle on track is now Laser and Stoner. Stoner peeks on the inside going into turn number 1, and he gets it move AJ Stoner up to P7.
Yeah, Stoner definitely needed that momentum to help him, carry through here, start making these overtakes quickly, as there's not that much time left in the session.
Yeah, we are now at just around 30 seconds to go in this race as your leader, Ryan Mort, comes through the 180 complex. Landon Boer still behind him, not really gaining any ground, but the good news is he's also not losing it. Thomas Anthony still in third. Klein looked a little slowed down there just a tad, and that's going to allow Gallion and Van Dyke to try to close the gap as we have 2 laps to go.
Yeah, seems like that 879 is getting close.
And we have almost a spin. A great save there from Lucian Laser. It looks like his teammate Evan Patton may have given him a little help there. A little uncertain, but a great save from Laser, but he is not going to be happy with that. Back out front, it is still Ryan Mort just walking away from this. It's a perfect day for a Sunday drive, and Ryan is just out there being smooth, calm, cool, and collected as he is coming to take the white flag. This time by the gap between him and his teammate Landon Boer was 1.472 seconds. Next closest battle is going to be between Klein, Gallion, and Van Dyke. The battle for fourth as Mort, Boer, and Anthony have really just walked away from the rest of this field.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Vince, I've been looking at some of the replays, and it's hard to tell exactly what happened. Just a little bit of contact there. It did seem between the two, as we take a look at Camp 7 here, there was just a little bit of a look down the inside, and then there was that light contact, and then as we come to 8 here, you can see just the recovery from that, which we were able to see on screen as well.
Yeah, once again, an excellent recovery from Lucian Laser, not to fully go out there and be able to try to salvage what he can. Meanwhile, it is all Ryan Moore as he takes home the victory in this KA Junior Heat Race, followed by Landon Boer, Thomas Anthony 3rd, Adler Klein 4th, Mason Gallion 5th, Dean Van Dyke 6th, AJ Stoner with a good recovery back up to 7th, Evan Patton 8th, and Lucian Laser rounding out your field. Yeah,
pretty significant domination from Mort there at the beginning. All the way through till the end, we have 50.362 for the fastest lap, also by Mort.
Yeah, that was a pretty quick lap. It was 0.3 faster than anyone else's fastest lap, so he was a man on a mission, and we'll see if he can keep this domination up for the final. Meanwhile, we only have one more heat race today before we go final racing, and it is going to be the always exciting 206 senior light class.
Yeah, always something interesting going on there, so let's see if today's going to be the same. Here we go, one of the most eventful classes that we have here in the Indy Karting Challenge. We're getting ready to form up. Again, seems like we kind of flew by that yellow cone for formation. We're starting to see the grid form up here, though.
Yeah, Eli Fox is going to be your pole sitter. Kyle Landon 2 is outside. Braden Johnson, Levi Wilbur, row 2. Jared Howerton, Dominic Stancombe, row 3. Raider Santos, Gage Justiano, Kami Pfister, Keegan Day, Williams, and Patton.
There seems to be some kind of issue on the right-hand side of the tram line, somebody holding their hands up, and it seems like the green was taken anyways.
That is Kyle Landon. That is your outside pole sitter pulling off before he can take the green flag. He is not happy.
Yeah, I think he was trying to signal that there was something wrong with his kart. Either it had stalled or something else, but yeah, seems like we went green anyways.
That is heartbreak for someone who worked so hard to go as fast as he could in qualifying, starting outside pole, and now he is in the back of the field. Meanwhile, it is Eli Fox out front, Braden Johnson P2, Jared Howerton P3. As we finish one lap, it is Fox, Johnson, Howerton. A little bit of gap between Fox and Johnson, but Howerton is all over Braden Johnson, trying to push him forward, willing to catch up to Eli Fox. These are short heat races, so they know every lap counts. Meanwhile, farther back, Levi Wilbur on the inside of Kami Pfister for position number 5. Behind that, you have Dominic Stancombe, Gage Justiano, and Ethan Williams out there fighting for the 7th position, drafting up with one another. As we look forward, it looks like Wilbur has caught the 4th place kart of Raider Santos. He's going to try to hold Wilbur off. Meanwhile, Johnson and Howerton have caught the rear bumper of Eli Fox entering the Stinger Oval. Once again, these top 3, they are all very experienced, They race tooth and nail against each other week in and week out here at the Indy Karting Challenge. They already know where each other likes to go on the track when they want to make a pass. So definitely be interested to see who bites first and tries to take over the point from Fox.
Yeah, I've been looking back at the replay, Vince, and I'll tell you what, it seemed like pretty early on before we even got to the tram lines, it was obvious that, I mean, he knew that there was some kind of issue with this kart. And so, yeah, pretty unfortunate that it did end up happening.
Back on track, it looks like Howerton is going to slip back just a little from Johnson and Fox. Be curious to see what this gap is as they come through out of the 180 complex. Howerton's still right in this fight, but he is about 4/10 back of second place, so a little bit of a gap to make up. It seems like he just isn't getting the drive out of the turn one like Johnson and Fox are. Meanwhile, Wilbur's starting to gap 5th place kart of Raider Santos. Santos is being pushed by his AMAX Racing teammate Cammy Pfister through Death Valley, trying everything they can to catch back up to Wilbur, so hopefully they have a chance to catch this lead pack, but at this moment, it's just not looking like they have the speed. Back up front, Howerton seems to have a really good run coming out of the 180, but then once we hit the oval section and onto turn one, he just doesn't quite have the same line, the same speed that Johnson and Fox do. That time by, the gap from second to third is about 0.5 of a second. So not really losing a lot of ground, but he's not making it up either, as we have just over a minute and 2 laps remaining. Johnson gets a great run exiting Death Valley. Is he going to capitalize? No, he's content for now just pushing Eli Fox, giving himself as big of a cushion as he can back to 3rd place. Once again, Howerton gets a great run out of there, but that's the only place he seems to be gaining on these top 2. He's really going to have to put his head down if he wants a chance to start on the front row for your final today. Farther back, you still have the 2 AMAX Racing drivers of Santos and Pfister pushing each other for 5th and 6th. Then after that, you have a whole gaggle of cars. You have 7th through 10th, so Justinano, Stancombe, Williams, and Day all kind of play nice as we see Williams trying to make a move on Stancombe, can't quite get it done. As our leaders come through Daytona turn into the 180 complex, it's still all Eli Fox and Braden Johnson. Howerton's sticking around hoping for one of these two to make a mistake. It is going to be 2 laps to go, this time by popsicle sticks in the air.
Yeah, what's been of interest here for the start is it was not a mechanical failure of any sort, but it actually just seemed to be just some pushing at the start, and that's what was trying to be indicated back to everybody in race control, and then interestingly that ended up causing that spin and then kind of getting beached off the track, and that's a bit more inside of the start.
As we keep watching here, Howerton's still unable to close the gap anymore. Johnson gives Fox a big shove as they come through the switchback and into Daytona. Does Johnson peak? No, he does not. He is sticking glued right to Eli Fox's rear bumper. He's going to try to make something happen on this last lap. White flag is in the air for Eli Fox and Braden Johnson. This time, Howerton a whole half-second back from second place. That's going to take him out of the equation right now, barring any unfortunate incidents. As they enter the Death Valley complex, it is still Eli Fox over Braden Johnson. Johnson not close enough to give him a look there. All he can hope for is for a great exit here. Does he have it? It looks like he does have a pretty good exit. Still not quite on the bumper. And now as he finally gets that run he was looking for into Daytona turn, Eli Fox with a great defensive line into the 180 complex.
Yeah, significant lunge down the outside, but it seems like he might be trying to set something up through here.
Here we come, the final set of corners through the oval. Braden Johnson not going to make a move now. He is going to be content with second, and Eli Fox is your 206 senior light winner. Braden Johnson P2, Jared Howerton third, Levi Wilbur fourth, Cammy Pfister fifth, Raider Santos sixth. Gage Justiniano is going to bring home 7th, Dominic Stancombe 8th, Keegan Day 9th, Ethan Williams 10th, Nick Patton 11th, and Kyle Landon, after that issue at the start, is going to come home 12th.
Yeah, going to be really interesting to see exactly how that all pans out. As you notice, we're finishing under the checkered and black flag, which does mean the race is under review.
Yeah, definitely interesting to see what race control is going to make of that start. Got a feel for Kyle Landon. He was fast in practice, fast in qualifying, fast enough to put it outside pole, and then for an incident like that, before you even take the green flag, it's just got to be heartbreaking.
Yeah, it's just difficult to kind of, find that right balance because obviously, the rules are very clear as to how you're supposed to enter the start zone. So he was probably trying to do his best to make sure to not get any kind of start penalty, maybe getting hit a little bit from behind, but at the same time, you have to wonder how exactly did he end up getting spun. Whose responsibility does that go to? I mean, there's a lot of karts there. There's a lot of contact there. It's going to be interesting to hear what race control has to say about it when they make their final ruling on it all. But it certainly was close and kind of hard to tell from our camera angles, at least.
Yeah, it was hard for us to tell. So we'll let them do their job. But that was indeed the last heat race of the day. If you are interested in seeing what happens with that, feel free to hop onto our Discord link. All of the results of timing, scoring, and penalties are shown on the Discord, so if you want to keep up that way, definitely join that. But with that being said, we're going to take a little commercial break, and we will be back here live at Whiteland Raceway Park for your afternoon finals.
Welcome to the Kart Indianapolis experience at Whiteland Raceway Park. Indy's premier outdoor karting circuit, Whiteland Raceway Park is just 20 minutes south of downtown Indy and the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Our trackside event center and high-speed go-karts make Whiteland Raceway Park the perfect destination for your next event or party. Stop in today or book your race online at racewrp.com and experience real racing right here in Indy.
We're at a commercial break.
So you finally want to get behind the wheel, huh?
Yeah, I've been shooting for 3 years and I've never got to drive.
Well, you're gonna need some more gear than just your helmet. Why don't you go to shopakr.com. They got their inventory online and they'll ship it the same day if you order before 5:30 p.m. Eastern.
They got shoes?
Yep.
Gloves?
Yep.
Rip protectors?
Got those too.
Can they make me go fast?
No.
Here at Acceleration Kart Racing, we've got everything you need to get on track. What happens next? Well, that's on you. Check us out online at shopakr.com.
Are you ready to get behind the wheel? From Formula One to NASCAR and IndyCar, all the pros start here. For more information, check us out online at mcckarting.com or call us and go racing today.
Can everyone please rise and stand for the playing of our national anthem?
Welcome back to Whiteland Raceway Park. Before we begin, I just want to send a big, warm, happy 30th birthday to one of the best flaggers in the Midwest, Mr. Adam Boros. He's amazing out here, and if you guys see him after the race, make sure you stop him and give him a nice, crisp high five.
You know, or a hug. That's an option too. Adam, we couldn't do it without you. So happy that you're here on our team with us. This place would not be the same without you.
Yeah, and with that being said, Stuart, it is final time, starting with the 206 Super Masters. We'll see. Does Ewers have anything for Wilbur this time? Did they make changes?
Yeah, I mean, there's no way to tell right now, but here we are, round 7 of the IKC afternoon. This is the last set of finals for our doubleheader as they're starting to roll away from the grid right now.
Yeah, Travis Wilbur was able to hold off Jason Ewers at the end there. Kind of had a little bit of a fall off, but Wilbur and Ewers will be leading the field of green, followed by William McLaughlin and Tom Stevens in row 2. Row 3, Richard Lowe, Scott Galladay. Row 4, Larry Pike and Joe Stevens. Jason Irvin and Wesley Bullock in row 5, and rounding out your field, the 82 of Richard LeMasters.
Yeah, interesting way we're forming up the grid right now. It seems like the inside row has already formed, the outside row not so much, but for those of us joining remotely right now, it's 81 degrees here in Whiteland,
Indiana. And it looks like we have Richard LeMasters late to the grid, still trying to put on his glove as he drives through the middle oval section. And it looks like they're going to go around one more time to allow Richard to catch back up to the field.
Yeah, strange situation that ended up happening there, but yeah, we're going to have one more warm-up lap before we get going here. As I was saying, 81 degrees here in Whiteland, Indiana. Partly cloudy, maybe not as sunny as it was maybe an hour ago, but the temperatures are still holding pretty steady, much higher than they were earlier this morning when we got started.
Absolutely, and this track is rubbered and it is very grippy. Going to be excited to see what happens and this track farther develops as we get into these longer finals. Once again, they're 9 minutes plus 2 laps. Definitely going to be watching the 180 complex coming through there. People have been getting air all day, hopping over the curbs. It'll be interesting to see who makes a mistake and who gets it right.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, all the drivers should be plenty used to this configuration of the track. The track's rubbered in. It's hot, but not crazy hot. These are optimal racing conditions at this point. Everybody should know what to do, and I think we're going to see some really exciting racing in the finals here today. We had quite a quick, lap at the front there in terms of after that waved off start, but luckily we are starting to fully reform the grid now. And this time, it looks like we're actually forming before the yellow cone. That might be a first for today.
Nice slow roll into the tram lines. All eyes on the birthday boy head flagger Adam Boros as we're getting ready to go green for our first final in the afternoon session. And we are green as they race into turn 1. Looks like Wilbur's going to get away first, but Ewers is right there. I don't think Ewers is going to make the same mistake and let Wilbur walk away with it this time. He wants to be right there. He wants to be on his bumper this whole time, not having to play the massive catch-up game.
Yeah, it did seem like through that section a lot closer, but a little bit of squirmy, at least from what I could see up here. So it's going to be interesting to see, exactly if any adjustments were made to the setup and how, warm up and pace develops throughout this race for both these drivers.
First time through the 180 complex of the final. Ewers right on the rear bumper of Wilbur as we enter the Stinger Oval. He is ready to get to work. We'll see how long he is going to wait and stay behind Wilbur, or is he going to be out there and try to walk away like Wilbur did to him?
Yeah, as always, it's a question of when to make the move, when to really go and push all the way out. I don't think we've quite seen that yet. Probably just trying to see, engage. Did Wilbur change its setup at all? Is Wilbur taking a different approach to this one? That's going to be interesting to see, as it did seem like Wilbur did take a lot of the curb there, but then again, so did Ewers on the other curb there.
Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of differing philosophies on the curbs. We've seen a lot of guys using them to their advantage, a lot of guys and gals trying to stay away from them, and some think they can use them and end up putting their stuff way out wide. But right now it's not affecting Wilbur and Ewers at all, as they are keeping their gap consistent. Meanwhile, back by Daytona Corner, it looks like we have one Kart around. Unsure who that is. I think that may be the 82 of Richard LeMasters.
Yeah, the question is that going to be fully cleared by the next time the cart gets around? And it does appear that way. Seems like the cart got going again.
Yep, LeMasters is back underway, way out of the danger zone for the rest of the field. Unsure how that happened. That's quite a weird place to spin out, but I've seen crazier things happen at a racetrack.
Yeah, that's true. I'm going to go take a look at the camera angles right now, Vince, now that you mention it. Going to be kind of curious to see if anything did happen there or if that was just a mistake. And judging by a quick look here, I think, yeah, that was all on his own. So nobody else prompted that.
Like I said, I have seen stranger things happen at a racetrack. As we look back towards the front, it's still Wilbur and Ewers out front. William McLaughlin looks like he's gained a little bit of a speed, and he's closed his gap down. It was 1.5 seconds, and now it's down to 1.2. After that, we have Tom Stevens kind of in no man's land all by himself in 4th place. And then we have the battle for 5th between Richard Lowe, Larry Pike, Scott Galladay, and Joe Stevens. They're all right there. Right now, Lowe has it, but he's going a little wide through there, and Pike's trying to narrow it down. So we'll see how those different lines are going to affect this race going forward.
Yeah, that technical section, like you mentioned earlier, kind of with how different drivers are taking the curbs. I mean, people take massively different lines to there, and sometimes it's very clear that it's between, defending and everything, but sometimes it's also just, just how the drivers like to take it, how their karts are set up, what they're most comfortable with, and what they're fastest with. As it did seem like we just had the meatball flag shown just a little bit ago.
I think that may have been shown to the number 82 of Richard LeMasters, so maybe some mechanical gremlins the reason why he looped it entering Daytona turn. Guess we'll have to find out to see who pulls off track. Meanwhile, out on track, it looks like Larry Pike's going to send it on the inside of Richard Lowe for position number 5. Can he get it done? Yes, he can put Pike up to 5.
Yeah, for those who are a bit new here, meatball flag, black flag with the orange circle in the middle of it, does mean that you are required to pull off the track as a result of certain, mechanical issues if it poses a risk to the other drivers on the track or some kind of other hazard. That was the number 82.
Yep, so tough break for Richard LeMasters. He's always excited to be out here racing when he's not doing the fuel, delivering fuel to everyone. So tough break for Richard. Back out front, it's still Ewers and Wilbur pushing each other. They've widened that gap back to McLaughlin. It is now almost 3 seconds. So put McLaughlin in no man's land. Stevens in no man's land. Then we still have the battle for 5th. This time it's going to be Pike, Lowe, Galladay, and Stevens as they cross the line. Just under 4 minutes and 2 laps to go.
Yeah, just a bit of a time update for Wilbur and Ewers. Pretty much the same best lap time between the two. Wilbur, 56.872 set on lap 3, and then Ewers, 56.882 set on lap 3 as well. Last lap, 57 flat for Wilbur, 56.882 for Ewers. So definitely very close between the two, and it's going to be interesting to see if we start seeing a divergence in pace as the race continues.
Once again, like we've seen all day, Ewers is better exiting the 180 complex, but Wilbur's better leaving Death Valley. That's been a really consistent thing all day. You're either good over there or you're good over here. And lately, it's been the ones exiting the 180 complex that have been able to get that final run into the Stinger Oval.
Yeah, I'd say what's critical about that, as we did just see another move through the Stinger Oval, the number 2 on the 151, but the 151 went off, now losing places to the 50 and the 4 in the process.
Yeah, that is going to be Larry Pike with a quick jot through the grass. Richard Lowe is going to get away, and he's going to take over that 5th position. A little bit of a gap now to Scott Galladay, Joe Stevens, and Larry Pike, now dropping all the way back down to 8th. As we turn our eyes back to Travis Wilbur and Jason Ewers, they are going to be coming up on slow traffic here in the next lap or so. It's going to be interesting to see how quickly they can dispatch of the slower kart.
Yeah, as you can see in the corner of your screen there on the replays, I just pulled up the shot, and it does appear that that was, I mean, I don't know if I'd exactly call that intentional, and there seemed to be some space on the outside there. You have to wonder, would it have been possible for him to dive back on the inside as opposed to going off in the grass and then rejoining in a way that did hold up his other competitors? So kind of interesting to see that play out in quite the way that it did.
Absolutely. It's always a tight passing zone over there. If you're going to make the move there, you absolutely have to get it right. Meanwhile, our top 2 were able to dispatch of the lap car of Wesley Bullock with no issues. However, there is a little bit of a gap forming again between Wilbur and Ewers. And then just as I say that, exiting the 180 complex, Ewers closes back up. Ewers has the 180 complex nailed to a T. If he can just figure out another part of this track, I think he'll be able to get him, but it's going to be close.
Yeah, it's certainly difficult. Both, technical sections of the track, but clearly there must be some difference between the two, because it seems like we've been able to find very few people who are very, very strong in both of them. It seems to be, one of them they have some kind of issue.
Scott Galladay, number 4, raises his hand, and he's going to exit the racing surface. He was running P7 at the time. Back up front, curious to see what the gap is going to be this time between Wilbur and Ewers. It is half a second now. Ewers is starting to fade while Wilbur is standing strong.
Yeah, interesting to see that, if anything right now, it seems like we kind of had a flip of exactly what happened in the heat race. Last lap, 57.045 for Wilbur, 57.309 for Ewers, and with that pace, it looks like he might not be able to get him.
It is going to be close, though. They are going to get the popsicle sticks in the air, 2 to go next time by for your leaders. And just on that backstretch, Ewers has nothing for Wilbur. That gap just keeps continuing to grow over there. Crossing the line, this time the gap expands to 0.6 of a second. Advantage, Wilbur. Everyone really just kind of putting the laps down, running by themselves right now. Ewers trying to chase down Wilbur, but that gap just grows and grows as Ewers is seeing the dreams of taking home that beautiful first place trophy diminish each and every corner.
Yeah, some significant airtime going through some of the inner hairpin there, which was interesting to see, but this time by, it does seem white flag. Last lap for Ewers, 57.478. Wilbur, 57.050. So here we are, rounding the last set of corners. Wilbur still in the lead, Ewers second. There was a lot of speculation going into this race. Was the pace going to stay the same between the two of them? Were there going to be setup changes? Were we going to see slightly different developments in pace? But in the end, Wilbur perfected it all. Wilbur wins your 206 Supermaster Final, Ewers in second. In the end, unable to really properly challenge with a gap of 1.796 at the line. It seems like we really had an exact flip of what happened in the heat race. In the heat race, Wilbur had a great starting pace, but as time went on, Ewers was just able to slowly close the gap more and more. And in this final, it was the exact opposite. While Ewers and Wilbur were very close at the beginning, Ewers just over time was not able to hold it, and in the end, was significantly slower per lap. So you have to wonder what setup changes were made and what kind of strategy was used overall. But undoubtedly there's no way to there's no way to say it other than Wilbur got whatever that strategy was absolutely perfect. He played it well enough in the heat race where he had that pace at the beginning, and even though it started to fall off at the end, it was timed to perfection so that right at the end, while Ewers was up to him, did not have the pace to pass. And then, we saw pretty much the exact flip of that here in the final as well, where Wilbur, maybe didn't have the best pace starting out, but over time just was able to edge out that pace over Ewers before the end. And
Absolutely.
With a healthy lead of 1.79 seconds.
Absolutely, and Travis Wilbur has been on a tear here at WRP for the Indy Karting Challenge. He won yesterday. And if I'm not mistaken, he won the previous round too. So make that 3 feature wins in a row for Travis Wilbur.
Yeah, incredibly impressive. Not easy to do, but Wilbur was able to pull it off. Well, that was...
Brandon, why are there all these charges for just over $200 from Acceleration Kart Racing's website?
That's because AKR gives you free shipping on orders of $200 or more within the continental US.
Okay. But I thought you were just getting a pair of gloves. That's what, $70?
But if I'm getting a new pair of gloves, I might as well get a new pair of shoes to match. And then on top of that, I'll get a neck brace because with the shipping, it's basically free.
Yeah, I do not think the math checks out on that.
Everything you need, all in one place and shipped to your door for free for orders of $200 or more. Exclusions apply. Spend responsibly. Shop AKR.com.
Welcome back to Whiteland Raceway Park as we are getting ready to go green for our Micro Swift final. On the pole after a commanding heat race victory, we have Liette Simonelik, Reagan Hodges P2, and Patrick McNeely P3. trying to get these kids woe down for the start. We look to Adam Boros. Green, green, green. It looks like a very good start for both Simonelik and McNeely. McNeely jumps Hodges and goes to P2. Don't know what quite happened there to Reagan, as she did not get a good start at all.
Yeah, it just seemed like, yet again, that outside line just not really on it at the start. In fact, significantly on it that time, but lots of pressure that Hodges is already ready to put on McNeely here.
Yeah, she had a good run at first on the exit over there, but McNeely able to get a little bit farther away through the backstretch in Daytona, but she's going to close up again as we exit the 180 complex. Doesn't close up nearly as fast as I expected. In fact, I think she might have lost a little ground there, but she's going to make it up as she comes through the oval.
Yeah, it's going to be critical for Hodges here to get around McNeely quickly if she really wants to really wants to put that pressure on Simonelik before the end of this race. But already a gap between first and second of 2.063 seconds. Hodges and McNeely's gap, 0.640.
Yeah, Reagan went a little wide there trying to pass around the outside. It's going to end up costing her some more time. She knows she has to get by McNeely fast. She just has to be smart about it. She's been faster all day, so we'll see what happens here. And she's really not closing the gap that much as they come through Daytona either.
Yeah, one thing that we see often in all forms of racing, including this more local racing that we see at Whiteland Raceway Park, it's one thing to have more pace than somebody. It's a completely different thing to actually make that pass on.
Yeah, she's going to close up very nicely there. So we come through the Stinger Oval. She's going to get right on McNeely's back bumper. See what she does in the run down to turn 1. She looks to the inside, down the straightaway. Can she get it done? Yes, move Hodges to P2.
Yeah, side by side through the entry of that corner, but by the midpoint, she was significantly far ahead of McNeely, and from there, it just seemed like already she's been able to build a very healthy gap to him to make sure that any immediate retaliation from him is not going to be very effective.
Step 1 down, get around McNeely. Step 2, put your head down and go, 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 because as of last lap, it was over 4.5 second gap between first and second.
Yeah, I mean, that was what the worry was. You know, with that start, with getting behind Simonelik, you have to, I mean, getting behind McNeely, that is, Hodges just was not in a great place to be able to keep up with Simonelik, and if she really wants to be able to challenge him, it's looking very difficult at this point, because just within that lap alone, I mean, losing 2 seconds within a lap, and even now, that pace not really able to pick back up with Simonelik's. Last lap, Simonelik did a 56.070, whereas Hodges only did a 57.014. So that even dropping more time there, but hopefully with a fully clean lap, no longer with McNeely in front, she might be able to start at the very least equaling the pace and possibly even being able to decrease that gap. And it's yet to be seen as well, like we've seen in other classes. Could there be some setup that's going into all this as well? You know, Simonelik has a great pace right now, but, you know, we still have 7 minutes to go in this race. So who knows if as time progresses, if that setup might start falling away from Leah.
As Hodges crosses the line, we're going to look again at that gap, and again, that gap just keeps growing. 6.4 seconds this time, and she's still running about 0.8 a lap slower than Simonelik. If she wants any chance of a battle at all, she's got to pick it up.
Yeah, and I mean, you have to wonder at this point too, I mean, that if, you know, we might also be getting into that range where it's a big enough gap that even if she does end up equaling his pace, it'd be near impossible to be able to keep a gap so low that or keep a lap time delta low enough to close that gap within a reasonable amount of time, that we might even be looking at a situation where Simonelik would need to mess up for Hodges to be able to really challenge for that first place position.
just under 30 seconds to go. We have 3 laps to go, and this race has been all Liet Simonellic. Last time by, the gap was 14.5 seconds. It'll be 2 to go this time by.
Yeah, I think we can already say pretty confidently this is going to be one of, if not the largest finishing gap for the day between first and second. Yeah, 14.48 seconds is significant. And then from there, from Hodges to McNeely, 5.82 seconds as well. That's also a pretty significant gap. All the drivers at this point are pretty much out there by themselves, running their own races. I mean, as long as nobody makes a mistake, we can be pretty confident in the finishing order right now, as each of them is now getting the official signal for 2 laps to go.
And Simonellic is not slowing down at all. Last lap, he was only 0.3 slower than his fastest lap of the race. He is just out there pounding the pavement.
Yeah, ideally as a driver, you're fast, but it's even better to be fast and consistent. If you can hold that extreme pace for long periods of time, I mean, that's how races are won, and this is definitely a great example of that. Not only the fastest on track, but consistently the fastest on track without really any other lap time challengers, I think, at any point in this race. Wouldn't be shocking to me if Liet held every single fastest lap of this race in terms of, you know, everybody's pace on each and every lap.
Yep, and right now, Simonellic takes the white flag, still in that 56-second range. And let's watch the gap as we see Simonellic go through that 2, 3, 4 complex, getting ready to enter Death Valley. Hodges is going to cross the line 17 seconds back.
Yeah, those last lap times, Liet, 56.563. Hodges, 57.913.
All that stands in the way of Simonellic of taking home the trophy today is just 2 more turns. Through 1, through 2, checkered flags. Liet Simonellic is your Microsoft winner with some amazing showmanship and flag waving from the birthday boy himself, Adam Boros.
Yeah, I mean, clearly these races would not be the same without Adam out there jumping off the barrier, waving the double checker to indicate the finish of this final race with Microswift. Incredible performance from Liet there. Really interesting to see just the sheer pace that he had, how much of a gap he was able to open up. 17.448 seconds at the line between Simonellic and Hodges, and the gap between Hodges and McNeely was 7.711 at the line. So a very spread out class that we had there today in Micro. There's more interesting racing to come here with Indy Karting Challenge after we return from this commercial break.
Are you ready to get behind the wheel? From Formula One to NASCAR and IndyCar, all the pros start here. For more information, check us out online at mcckarting.com or call us and go racing today.
GoPro.
How are you from yesterday?
Good, yeah. Less busy now.
Thank goodness you're not allergic.
Yeah.
Glad you're okay. Hey, Zach. If these guys go out, I'll grab your water. I forgot.
So here we are, Whiteland, Indiana Indy Karting Challenge for our next final race being Mini. The finishing order for the previous Mini Swift heat, O'Gara first.
Willie P2.
Sears 3.
Avalos
fourth. Hendrickson 5th. Weichinger 6th. Roberts 7th. 8th McCann, 9th Gaddis. DNS from Taylor and Thomas. Also a couple penalties in that last one, so it's going to be interesting to kind of see. Are we going to see some more penalties in this one? Both, checking on our sheet here, were different avoidable contact incidents. Hopefully, everybody keeps it clean in this race, avoids that avoidable contact. But
yeah, keyword is avoidance. As we saw in the heat race, the minis were a little wild out there. We did see that nasty first lap incident with Austin Taylor. Still glad he's okay. Going to be interesting to see if they got that kart repaired, if he's going to make the call or not. But this whole field is very tight, very fast, and we're definitely be keeping an eye on all of these corners today.
Yeah, I mean, the key here is obviously, race, be competitive, have fun, but obviously you can't race in a way that's unfair. And when that does happen, penalties will come your way. So, I think, here at IKC Race Control, they do a good job of making sure that for any incidents that are serious enough that those penalties do get applied. So hopefully we get a relatively clean race here, but
that's a hope. You always got to hope for a clean, exciting race. Once again, it is going to be O'Gara and Willie on the front row as they are slowing down, forming up at that formation cone. So it's a good start so far. It does look like Austin Taylor, who was involved in that scary incident in turn 1 in the heat race, is going to be able to make the call. He's been fast all weekend, so we're very curious to see how that incident's going to affect him and if he can work his way up the field as we come to the green flag. And the green flag has waved.
Really close battle there for second. Is a little bit of a look down the inside. O'Gara up there.
Oh, and it looks like we have 2 karts off track. One of those is going to be Titus Roberts in the 19, and unsure of the other one, but I do know it is an MPG Motorsports kart.
Yeah, really interesting to see that incident. Not exactly a place that we've seen a ton of other incidents today. I'll go take a look and see if I can see what happened there.
Yeah, trying to get a number on that kart. I think it may be the kart number 5 of Dalton Sears, if I'm not mistaken. No, it's not. It is going to be the 11 of Bentley McCann involved in the incident with Titus Roberts. Out front, it is still all Danny O'Gara. That time by, he had almost a second lead over second place of Lincoln Willie. Will Feistinger, P3, trying to push Willie up there. Looks like another one of the MPG Motorsports cars may have dipped the tire and lost a lot of speed. That one was the 324 of Sears, and that is going to allow Hendrickson and Gaddis to get by. Coming through the Stinger Oval here.
So as you can see, bottom right-hand corner of your screen here is that lap 1 incident. A little hard to see there as the camera's moving, but all those karts just kind of getting together, and then those 2 ended up locking onto each other. Kind of impossible for them to not go off into the grass at that point, although it's a bit harder to tell as I'm going to rewind here just a second so we can take a look again at the entry as to how exactly that ended up stacking up. It kind of looked like, maybe a nose down on the inside there that ended up causing that contact, but pretty hard to tell from an angle that's so wide. We're going to have to see what Race Control ends up thinking about that in the end.
Meanwhile, on track, Gaddis able to get past Hendrickson for position 5. He's now on the rear bumper of his teammate in third place running, Will Feistinger. Coming through the oval, Gaddis making a move on Feistinger. This time he gets it done, put Gaddis on the podium, P3. Farther behind, we have Austin Taylor trying to draft up behind the number 7 of Joshua Avalos for P6. Gaddis has closed even more on the back bumper of Lincoln Willie. It is AMAX versus MPG for positions 2 through 4. Willie, Gaddis, Feistinger, and Hendrickson. Gaddis has a great run entering the 180 complex, but he's going to wait for now. We're going to see if he tries to make a move in the oval. That's where he's tried to pass all day long. Has a good run. Does he peak? No. Willie able to hold off Gaddis through turn 1. Gaddis peeks to the inside through 2. Can he hold it? Yes, he can. Put Gaddis up to P2.
Yeah, I mean, lots of this fighting here. You have to start realizing O'Gara, significant gap over everybody else who's been battling, as again we see another over-under move there between those two karts.
This time it's Case and Hendrickson on the inside of Will Feistinger trying to take away 4th place. Hendrickson able to get the move done as they run down into the 180 complex. Meanwhile, last lap, O'Gara did go purple with a 52.904. Definitely enjoying his time out in front by himself. He doesn't care what happens behind him. He's just going to pound the pavement and go faster each lap.
Yeah, I mean, critical. Building up that kind of buffer, that's how you get ready to, I mean, that's how you can even build safety into, even if you end up making a mistake. I mean, you know, the larger buffer you have, the more safety you have in your position. And O'Gara looking pretty decent, although that was on the last lap. It does look like Gaddis closed that relatively significantly.
Yeah, Gaddis actually went purple with a 52.545. But about the infighting and gapping, the exact inverse happened to Will Feistinger. He was battling with Case and Hendrickson for that 4th position, and now he has his hands full with Avalos and Taylor all over his rear bumper for that 5th position. Meanwhile, Hendrickson catches up to his AMAX Racing teammate Lincoln Willie. We'll see if they're going to try to work together to catch Gaddis. Farther back, you see Taylor and Sears, MPG Motorsports cars, trying to get around Avalos and hook up with their teammate of Will Feistinger, trying to give Will a boost to get back up into this fight. And last time by, Gaddis went purple yet again, a 52.329. 7/10 quicker than O'Gara, and that gap is now under 2 seconds too.
Yeah, that's an incredible pace difference there. So it's going to be interesting to see. Is that something that can actually be held up throughout the end of this race? 4 minutes on the clock, so there's still plenty of time for moves to be made. 2-second gap, which at one point was a little over 3 seconds, not looking so secure anymore. But it does kind of seem like we've separated out into a number of groups. You have O'Gara out in front, then you have Gaddis, and then you have that battle for 3rd involving 2 karts, and then the battle for 5th involving 4 karts.
Yeah, the AMAX teammates of Willie and Hendrickson just working together right now, trying to keep separated from that gap back to 5th. Feistinger leading that train with Avalos, Taylor, and Sears.
Yeah, Hendrickson had a little bit of a look on Wiley there.
Henderson's going to look, can't quite get it done right now. Maybe he's sizing up his competition. Feistinger on the defensive line from Avalos. He's going to go to the inside. Avalos tries to run down the outside. He's going to back off just enough to slot back into that 6th position. A little too early to be thinking about going too wide through that switchback.
Yeah, I mean, it's always a risk wherever it is in the race, even if it is the last lap. But I would have to agree with you there. Pulling that kind of move this early on, I mean, could bring a lot of trouble, potentially taking, you know, both you and your competitor out of contention for positions. And I mean, also it is by far not the optimal way to be going through those corners.
Not at all. Meanwhile, back up front, Dominic Gaddis has reeled Danny O'Gara in. Last time by, that gap was just under 0.5 of a second.
Yeah.
Gaddis lapping a whole second faster there than O'Gara.
Yeah, you have to be wondering what is going on there. I mean, 0.998 faster in a lap. That's crazy. And I mean, this is wild already. Like there's a significant pace gap between O'Gara and then when we look at even the 3rd place position. So it's really interesting that Gaddis has enough pace to be going that much faster than even O'Gara, who's going faster than the majority of the field.
Gaddis right up on O'Gara's rear bumper as they enter turn 1. That time by, Gaddis closed the gap to 1/10. he is right there. Meanwhile, Willie and Hendrickson, now it looks like they're trying to decide who wants to lead this group. As they get a little bit of battling there, farther back behind, Austin Taylor has cleared that battle for 5th, and he's starting to put a gap on Feistinger, Avalos, and Sears.
Yeah, with the kind of pace we've seen Gaddis with so far during this race, it's going to be interesting to see where he chooses to start putting the moves on O'Gara here. And also how long he ends up just taking to, analyze O'Gara's line maybe a little bit closer. Now that he's right up against him, it's going to be a little bit more obvious where O'Gara is strong and where he maybe isn't so strong, and Gaddis is a bit stronger. So I'm sure that as we go into this next lap, we're going to see a lot more pressure on O'Gara.
Yeah, Gaddis isn't going to make the move just yet. He's going to ride behind Gara, at least through turn 1 for now. Same thing with the battle for 3rd with the AMAX Racing teammates of Willie and Hendrickson. Hendrickson just going to ride behind Willie right now. Hendrickson looks to the outside, can't quite get it done. Is he going to go on the inside? Yeah, move Hendrickson up to the final podium position. Hendrickson, P3. Willie drops down to 4th.
Yeah, the question is, can he stick it through this set of corners as a switchback seems to be being set up here? We're going to have to see what happens on the back straight. But quite a much better drive as we go through the exit there.
Yep, Willie now on the inside, put Willie back on the final podium position, but don't look now. Here comes the MPG Motorsports car of Austin Taylor. Fantastic drive from Austin Taylor. If you remember back to our heat races, he was the one who had that scary up and over incident. So to see him fighting for a podium, it's great to see.
Yeah, and meanwhile, while all this, we still have O'Gara and Gaddis at the front. I've been keeping an eye on the lap times. The last 2 laps, they've been setting nearly identical lap times. Gaddis just holding on to the tail of O'Gara, trying to see if he can make a move as the clock is about to hit 0.
Yeah, it's going to be 2 laps to go next time by for our leaders. Still nose to tail, 1, 2 as they exit Death Valley. Gaddis closes up through the switchback as we enter Daytona. Coming in the 180, still just sitting right behind. I expect once he sees the popsicle sticks, he's going to take a peek. Meanwhile, Hendrickson and Taylor all over Willie for that 3rd place battle. And we are officially 2 laps to go.
Yeah, at this point, Gaddis has the pace. He has now the understanding of where O'Gara is strong and where he isn't. He's got to make a move soon. You don't have much time left as he makes a little bit of a look down on the inside.
A look there from Gaddis, not quite enough. He's going to size O'Gara up, maybe just see exactly where he thinks O'Gara is going to defend. Not the best run through Death Valley, but it's all about the exit here onto that long back straightaway.
Yeah, you can see clearly that Gaddis got a much better exit through there as he now taps the back bumper of O'Gara going through the switchback. You have to wonder if this might be a little bit of a look down the 180. Surprisingly, it isn't. They stay nose to tail.
But what we've seen all day with Dominic Gaddis is he waits until you get to the oval and he sends it in there and gets it done. Not this time, as we have the white flag in the air, 1 lap to go, O'Gara and Gaddis.
Yeah, I'd say O'Gara positioned that beautifully. I think he knew Gaddis was thinking about a move in there. Didn't go too far offline as to sacrifice time, but at the same time made it difficult for Gaddis to actually pull a move down there if he was going to.
Meanwhile, battle for 3rd, Hendrickson looks to the inside of Willie, can't get it done. He's going to back out and try to draft. Turn our attention back to the front. Looks like O'Gara has a slight gap entering through Death Valley, but we've seen this story time and time again. Gaddis is going to get the run on the exit, and he's going to close right up on that rear bumper, going through the switchback into Daytona.
Yeah, and just with
There's
the
Gaddis.
draft,
Gaddis
there he goes
looking
with
for the
look.
outside, O'Gara on the inside. O'Gara's going to make it stick for now, but this is far from over as we enter the middle oval. Gaddis looks to the inside, can't quite get it done. O'Gara's going to hold it down. Danny O'Gara, your Mini Swift final winner. Now we look to P3. Can Lincoln Willie hold off Case and Hendrickson right here? Hendrickson doesn't pull out, doesn't make a move. Battle to the line, and Lincoln Willie's going to come home with 3rd. Case and Hendrickson 4th. Austin Taylor 5th. Joshua Avalos 6th. Dalton Sears 7th. Will Feistinger P8. Titus Roberts 9th. And Bitley McCann, who pulled off early in the race, will finish 10th. I'll tell you what, Stuart, that was an exciting battle to the end. It makes you wonder, what is Gaddis thinking? Should I have tried to make a move sooner? He's going to go back and he's going to analyze every lap of this race, thinking, when should I try to make a move sooner?
Yeah, I mean, looking at how those last couple of laps went, I mean, O'Gara and Gaddis, before their bests were both in the 52.3 range, with Gaddis having a slightly better fastest time. But those last couple of laps, O'Gara and Gaddis, 53.6 for both of them, which was not the fastest last laps. In fact, lots of, like the battle from third to the fifth finishing spot, ended up having faster last lap times in them. They were losing time throughout their battles, and clearly Gaddis had a pace, and by that midpoint of the race, it was clear that Gaddis had more pace than O'Gara. So you just have to wonder, should he have gone earlier? Should he have tried to make more attempts? But what I will say is, it did seem like O'Gara defended beautifully through Stinger's oval over here, because like you said, that seems to be one of the places where Gaddis had the most pace, but O'Gara was not on the optimal line through there. But he wasn't so far off on his defensive line to sacrifice so much time that Gaddis was able to get around on the front stretch. So I think it was really interesting to see O'Gara doing that defending through there, taking that calculated risk. You don't want to defend too much, you don't want to lose too much time for absolutely no reason, but at the same time, you can't leave the door open when you know Gaddis has more pace than you through there. And I mean, O'Gara really timed that, all the defense and everything to perfection. Gap of the line, 0.177, pretty close between the two, but O'Gara came out on top.
Yeah, just absolute brilliant defending there from Danny O'Gara. And once again, I do want to give a shout out to our 5th place finisher of Austin Taylor, involved in that scary turn 1 incident in the heat race. Started dead last in this race, fought his way all up to 5th. So great job by that young driver from not letting that overcome his emotions.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty incredible finishing 5th after so much happening in the heat race. I mean, it's not easy to get past a total of 5 karts in the final, but he did it, and that's really impressive to actually be up there, be in battles, and his pace was right up there with everybody else's. Not quite within the pace of that top 2 finishing group of O'Gara and Gaddis, but right up there within that 3rd place battle. Very impressive to be fully in the mix for some, serious points there.
I can just only hope that our next race is going to be equally exciting as it is the 206 heavy field. Like we saw, this may only be 4 karts, but it was a very exciting finish last time by. Evan McCorkadale is going to be your pole sitter, Adam Dietz P2, Matt Geis P3, and Troy Toney rounding out your starting grid.
Yet again, flying by that yellow starting cone where they're supposed to form up. Interesting to see that, but here they go.
Gotta love the sportsmanship, giving each other some fist bumps, ready to go, ready to have a great race. Very slow roll.
Absolutely inchy across the start-finish line, waiting for the green, as we do now get the green flag.
Green is in the air, and it's going to be McCorkadale out to the early advantage. Matt Geist able to get past Adam Dietz for 2nd. Dietz drops back to 3rd, Toney still 4th.
Yeah, same old story on that start there. Outside tram line, did not have a good time at that start at all. Looks like we have some side-by-side action going through the inner hairpin here. Move for the lead.
Take that, Adam Dietz, your first place runner, as he's able to get past both Geist and McCorkadale.
Yeah, that was a pretty impressive move. Just such a good drive coming out of the Death Valley section of corners that, being able to get his nose significantly ahead before you even got to the switchback, I mean, made it his corner there.
Absolutely. Now they're going to have the long run down into turn 1. Everyone knows the tail, which isn't unexpected here with this class. They're all so tightly contested. All 4 of these drivers have won here in the past, and they're looking to add another trophy to Lake Shelton.
Yeah, great to see that although this class isn't too large, there's a lot of people here who are very talented, very close in their competition, and that's what's able to, keep an interesting fight for the lead. At the line that time by Dietz McCorkadale. Geist, and then Tony. McCorkindale, fastest lap that time by 56.056, but all of them incredibly close in their lap time. Dietz with a 56.08, McCorkindale 56.06, Geist 56.13, and Tony with a 56.06. So that just shows you just how close all these drivers are. I mean, it is not easy over a lap that's this long to stay all within, I mean, about a tenth of each other. That's pretty impressive that they're all able to consistently set those lap times. That time by, no changes in position, maybe a little bit more pressure as the top three are starting to maybe separate out a bit from Tony, but Dietz set the fastest lap, 55.494. Again, all karts within about 1.5 tenths of their last lap time. As we do have a side-by-side move there coming through this section of corners, the Death Valley corners, as they have been named, pretty interesting move there. So that time around, Dietz, McCorkindale, Geist, Tony. Going to be interesting to see now how many more moves for both lead and second place are we going to end up seeing, and is Tony going to be able to hold on? Last lap was not the best for anybody, as it seems like the pace just got slowed down significantly with all those battles, as we now go side by side, maybe setting up for a potential switchback on the back straight, although it did not seem like there was a good enough drive to really make that work for McCorkindale. You can see on your screen right now, everybody taking very similar line. And there we go, move for the lead, McCorkindale on Dietz. Oh, and we have a kart going halfway around there in the first corner and the other going off the track, and just like that, a 4-kart battle for the lead turns into a 2-kart battle for the lead, and now quite a big gap between third and fourth place. Gonna have to see if race control looks at that at all.
Yeah, that got a little interesting there. It looked like Dietz maybe dipped a tire getting ready to enter the Singer Oval. Got a little close to throwing down in the straightaway. Unsure exactly what happened over there. Dietz ended up around. Tony dipped a tire off. And now it's just Evan McCorkindale and Matt Geist just walking away with it.
Yeah, but you never know. I mean, this is karting. There could be some other interesting incident that occurs, and we might actually end up finding ourselves with maybe this getting a little bit closer back together, but kart going very slowly through there. I doubt that that's going to be continuing on in the race. That's the number.
Yeah, that's going to be
18.
Adam Dietz pulling off track there. Very, very tough break for him. All 4 of these karts were racing very tightly and contested. So Adam Dietz is going to retire, which guarantees Troy Tony gets a podium position. Just under 3 minutes to go here. It's still McCorkerdale and Geist bumper to bumper. As Tony crosses the line, he is about 4.5 seconds behind. We'll see what he can do to try to pick up any spots as Geist makes a pass on McCorkerdale, put Geist to the point.
As you can see here in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen here, I have for you guys a nice little review of that incident that happened there. Interesting to see that it seemed to be some rear contact as the black cart maybe went a little bit deep, but then from behind that contact that ended up spinning both of them and then running the one wide and maybe causing some kind of mechanical failure for that other cart, and that might have been why they had to retire from the race.
Back on track, Geist still in front of McCorkerdale. After that pass this lap, these two are dancing together, back and forth, passing one another almost each lap. Curious to see who's going to have the edge come 2 laps to go. Seems that Matt Geist is opening a gap on second place Evan McCorkerdale. Last time by, it was under 3/10, so we'll be very curious to see what kind of gap Geist has been able to put McCorkerdale through right now.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting just how much the face of this race has changed. At one point, we were in a 4-car battle for the lead. Now it looks like we have a significant gap from Geist on first.
Yeah, it looked a little bigger than it was. It was only 4/10 as they crossed the line, but Geist definitely had a better run through the backstretch, through Daytona and into the 180 sector, but McCorkerdale able to capitalize with a very good Stinger Oval sector.
Yeah, but I think the critical part there is that the Geist-McCorkerdale gap grew the last lap by 1/10.5, so we'll have to see if that's the way the momentum keeps going, or if we see a slight shift in everything that's going on there. I mean, still, you know, within the range where a draft is certainly possible, and that's going to help close these carts up, especially on the straights.
Yeah, very, very close watching this right now. McCorkerdale definitely gains coming out of the 180 complex into Stinger Oval. As they go through here, gaps kind of stagnates. 2 laps to go, as shown by our head flagger, Adam Boros. McCorkerdale not close enough to make a chance into turn 1. He's going to have to be perfect to get right up on Geist's rear bumper if he wants a shot at the top step of the podium.
Yeah, interestingly, McCorkerdale set the fastest lap last time around, 55.377, 300ths faster than what Geist was able to do.
Yeah, last lap, Geist also had his fast lap, not fastest overall, but a 55.411. So these two are just warming up, ready to throw some haymakers here on the final lap and a half. Coming into the 180 complex, McCorkerdale not close enough to make Geist weary yet. He's going to try to get a good run through here as we enter the oval. Coming to the white flag, that gap last time by was 0.7 of a second. McCorkerdale falling off just a bit, and that is not what you want to have happening right now as you see the white flag in the air.
Yeah, McCorkerdale lost 3.5 on that last lap. Not sure if that was just a specific mistake or just overall maybe pace falling away from him a little bit. As we have discussed in lots of the other categories that have been going on here, there is lots that can be adjusted with setup so your cart comes in at the right time. You have to wonder if maybe McCorkerdale's cart is starting to come out of that nice zone of being well controllable and fast as well.
Coming into the 180, it is all Matt Geist. He just has 3 corners to go and he will claim his trophy. Through the oval, 1 more corner to go. Checkered flag. Matt Geist is your 206 senior heavy winner. Evan McCorkerdale P2, Troy Tony P3, and Adam Dietz, who pulled off earlier, will finish P4. Lots of action, and it just goes to show you don't have to have 20 cart field to have a great race.
Yeah, I mean, really interesting how that race ended up playing out. I mean, in the end, it ended up only being a 2-kart battle for the lead, but there was a significant portion where it was a 4-kart battle for the lead. Crazy to see that. And in the end, even though guys took the win, there was definitely a point where any of them could. So glad to see an interesting race for our senior heavy final there.
Welcome to the Kart Indianapolis experience at Whiteland Raceway Park. Indy's premier outdoor karting circuit, Whiteland Raceway Park is just 20 minutes south of downtown Indy and the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Our trackside event center and high-speed go-karts make Whiteland Raceway Park the perfect destination for your next event or party. Stop in today or book your race online at racewrp.com and experience real racing right here in Indy.
Well, Vince, here we are. Afternoon of the Indy Karting Challenge, round 7 here at Whiteland Raceway Park. This is the second day of our doubleheader and the afternoon session of our doubleheader. 2 finals races to go. It's going to be interesting to see how much action is left in store, and I feel like it's going to be a lot.
Oh, yeah. First up, you've got the KA juniors. They're always raring to go. And then you have 206 Senior Light, another very exciting class. But let's set the grid for this KA junior field, which is always exciting. On the front row, it is a Red Sea lockout for MPG Motorsports. Ryan Mort, Landon Boer on the front row. 2 very fast drivers out here. Row number 2, Amax Racing's Thomas Anthony and Adler Klein. Row number 3, Mason Gallion and Dane Van Dyke. Row number 4, AJ Stoner and Evan Patton of New Gen Motorsports. And Lucian Laser, another New Gen Motorsports driver, rounding out your field. Always exciting. Starts are always great, full of action. Hopefully it's the good action and we avoid any kind of incident over there. But they put on a good show yesterday and I expect nothing less today.
Yeah, I mean, really what's important for the starts here is, a couple of different aspects. As a driver, you do always want to maximize your start. There is always the possibility for you to be able to gain a handful of places on the start. But the thing I will always, remind anybody who's out there driving is that just as likely at the start, if you're going to go super aggressive, you could make a mistake that drops you all the way back to the end of the field, or even worse, takes you out of the race immediately within the first corner. So it's all about playing that game of risk and reward. How much are you willing to risk on lap 1, corner 1, when you might not even make it anywhere past that if you go too aggressive? So it's just going to be really important, just like it has been in all these races, how aggressive are we going to go? And, for us watching, all we can really hope is that everything remains just clean and that there isn't anything too dramatic while still being entertaining, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, we always love to see good racing, and like you said, risk and reward. It's a tired old saying, but it holds truth. You can't win the race on the first lap, but you definitely can lose it. We've seen that in some of the races so far. If we go back to that heat race, Ryan Moore and Landon Boer had a great start, and they were just able to run away from the field and avoid any of the incidents behind them, so they're definitely going to be looking to hook up together at the start and do the same today. And it looks like we are rolling off grid for our KA Junior Final.
So here we are flying out of the grid, just as always. Maybe not quite forming up in that yellow cone like we've seen time and time again. Let's hope that maybe that gets cleaned up in subsequent races. But here we go, lining up to by, getting ready to go green.
Getting ready to go green, looking for Adam Boros. Green, 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 into turn one we go. Great start by Mort. Boer is going to drop at least one spot, maybe two, as Thomas Anthony jumps up to P number 2 in that AMAX racing machine.
Yeah, already we're seeing drivers start to file in single file as we almost saw a little bit of contact there between that battle for fourth as one goes a little bit wide, losing a little bit of ground there. And again, it's just so critical through all those corners to try and maintain as much composure as you can, even if you slightly get a foot wrong, even if you go a little bit wide. The key is don't lose more positions. Try and keep as much time as you can.
Yeah, as we enter through the oval, it's going to be Ryan Mort leading the way, Thomas Anthony P2, Brandon Boer P3, and it looks like that car that got pushed kind of wide was the 33 of Adler Klein as he dropped back from 4th to 7th on the start.
Yeah, tough start there. As we were saying, there's a lot of positions that can be lost at the start, arguably more than can be gained, as we see a lot of side-by-side action there. That one kart seems to be...
Oh, and we have second and third off. That looks to be Landon Boer and Thomas Anthony in Death Valley. Two very fast karts turned around there, both get going again, but that is a heartbreaker for two karts that were not just looking to podium, but going to fight for the win. This is going to allow Ryan Mort to extend his lead, but don't look now as the AMAX racing driver of AJ Stoner is closing fast. AJ Stoner closing fast on Ryan Mort. That promotes Dane Van Dyke up to 3rd, Mason Gallion 4th, Patton 5th, Klein 6th, Laser 7th. And this battle for 3rd is going to get interesting, as you've got Mort and Stoner way out ahead of everyone else, and then 3rd through 7th, all close knit. You can throw a blanket over them. Coming through the Death Valley complex right here. Does anyone make a move on Van Dyke? Are they going to let Van Dyke lead this group for a little bit? Gallion right on his rear bumper as they come through the switchback into Daytona, as we're going to throw it to a replay.
Yeah, as you can see here in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, I got a replay for you guys. 820 on the inside there, running over the curb and then running wide, causing the 817 to spin. That's the incident that we saw on track just a little bit ago. Really unfortunate to see all that happen, as they were certainly in contention for that win. Luckily, as you can see, track marshals responding quickly to help both of them. Some not too pleased hand motions between the two after that incident as well.
Absolutely not. Both drivers frustrated. Both drivers just absolutely heartbroken to throw away a chance of the win right now. Meanwhile, up front, AJ Stoner went purple last lap with 50.365, 4/10 faster than first place Ryan Mort, and that gap closed down to under half a second. Farther back, Dane Van Dyke still holds on to 3rd place, but Mason Gallion is right there, and Evan Patton, Alder Klein want a part of it too. We see Patton gets a really great run exiting the 180 complex, entering Stinger Oval.
Yeah, Van Dyke is really just going to have to, make sure not to lose too many positions here. It's so easy to make one mistake, end up dropping back quite significantly, so... it's going to be really critical, because at this point it's looking like that 2nd place is getting maybe a little bit out of reach. So I'm sure we're going to start seeing quite a bit more aggression in this pack that's battling for 3rd.
Yeah, meanwhile, the very rear of the field, going to be interesting to see this battle between Thomas Anthony and Landon Boer. Are they going to put their differences aside and work together to try to catch the rest of this field? Or is there going to be a little bit of bad blood between these two? I guess we're just going to have to wait and see how this plays out.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, you kind of have to expect that it's not going to be too nice between the two of them, let's say. Not that it will necessarily be, dirty or anything, just that, already with some other contact that we saw earlier in the race, damaging both of their chances on really fighting for that win, that you know, there's going to be a little animosity between there.
Oh, absolutely. Meanwhile, AJ Stoner goes purple yet again, 50.073 compared to Ryan Mort's 50.338. Stoner has closed that gap to just 0.2 of a second. Stoner is hungry for this KA Junior victory.
Yeah, it seems like Stoner had a little bit of a look through the exit of Death Valley there.
Another 180 complex into the Stinger oval. AJ Stoner is all over that rear bumper of Ryan Mort. That time, Mort has the faster lap, 50.400 to 50.449. Gap stays pretty consistent at 0.2 of a second. Meanwhile, that battle for third is heating up as Gallion went faster that lap than Dane Van Dyke in third place.
Yeah, what's critical here, though, is that the two karts behind them went faster than both of them. We're starting to see that group close up. You get this fighting, you get this defending, and the attacking. All of it makes you lose time relative to other karts. So this battle for third is turning pretty strongly into a four-way battle.
Oh, absolutely. And even though it may not be the top step of the podium, that third place is still on the podium, and you still get a trophy, and these drivers are hungry. First and second might be a little out of reach, barring anything unforeseen, but they're going to give it their all, trying to get on the podium themselves.
Yeah, going to be very interesting to see here. I mean, significant points still up for grabs as we see the 820 maybe tap the back bumper of the 817 coming out of the Stinger oval, it is.
Meanwhile, it looks like we have Adlerklein trying to make a move on Patton over through turns 2, 3, and 4. Can't quite get it done. He's going to settle back in that 6th position. Down the straightaway through Daytona, back with our leaders. It looks like Mort has a little bit more top end because it seems to placiate that gap going through there. But then as you exit the 180 complex into the Stinger Oval, that's where AJ Stoner really has been closing the gap. Gets a little loose there, not really going to hurt him, as he is still right there on the rear bumper of Ryan Mort.
Yeah, interesting to see Stoner, you know, maybe trying to get a little bit of a look on the inside there, but, you know, like we've seen before, this could also just be a lot of sizing up your opponent, choosing when to make that attack. I mean, only a 0.2 gap between them, and last time, nearly identical lap times, only 4 100ths between the two.
Absolutely, Stuart. There is still over 3 minutes plus 2 laps remaining in this race. These two are going to be battling it out until the very end. Meanwhile, farther back, it looked like Boer was able to get around Anthony for that 8th position, as Boer is now going to try to chase down the number 8 Nugent machine of Lucian Laser.
Yeah, it was a bit hard to tell, but to me it almost seemed like the A12 almost dipped a tire off on the right side of the track there, but didn't lose too much time even if that was the case.
That's still 0.2 of a second behind Mort is AJ Stoner, but he is not going to give up. He is going to drive as hard as he can to take away this victory. Dane Van Dyke still keeping a nice little gap in third over the 4th place of Mason Gallion. Gallion's got his hands full behind him with Patton. Patton looking to make some moves, can't quite get it done. And this is just what Van Dyke wants to see. See those two guys behind me start fighting so I can try to get away and build a security blanket for himself.
Yeah, and further behind that, we now see this 3-kart battle there that has appeared. We're now just functioning in this race as 3 different battles for position. And that 3-kart battle, you know, arguably, you know, probably has a lot more pace than a lot of the karts in front of them. But just with that turn 1 incident, they're just trying to make the places back up at this point, hopefully without getting tangled with each other again.
Something very interesting, Stuart. Landon Boer and Thomas Anthony, the karts that are running 2nd and 3rd before they got tangled together last time by, they ran faster than that group ahead of them. If they play their cards right, they can catch up and join this and make it a 6-kart battle for the final podium position.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that would be ideal. That'd be really interesting for us as an audience to watch and see. A little over a minute left on the clock. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out here as 1st and 2nd continue to run away with it.
Got Ryan Mort still out front. AJ Stoner not showing his hand yet. He is more than happy to follow the MPG Motorsports 812 of Ryan Mort. Lets him know that he's there, but he's not going to pull out and make that move quite yet. through turn 1, and it's still Mort out in front. Van Dyke still holding on to third, but don't look now. Boer and Anthony are catching up to the 33 Tony car as Adler Klein going to make this battle for third very interesting, but just under 30 seconds to go.
Yeah, the critical part for them was getting around Laser to be able to close on the karts in front, and it did seem like they were able to do that, but it does seem like the fourth kart in that battle is starting to slip away a little bit. Might be another bit of a roadblock for them to fully get within that battle for the third place with Van Dyke.
Yeah, they're going to have to get around that 33 of Adler Klein very quickly if they want any chance at Van Dyke. Meanwhile, our leaders come across the line. 2 laps to go for Ryan Mort and AJ Stoner.
Last time by Mort, fastest lap, 49.846.
Mort extended the gap just a little bit there, almost 0.4 of a second. Meanwhile, Van Dyke's gap over Gallion is 0.4 of a second as well. 2 very highly contested battles here, as it looks like Boer is able to get around the 33 of Klein and pick up another spot. Will Anthony be able to follow him? We shift our focus back to the backstretch. Ryan Mort is gapping AJ Stoner. It's almost like Ryan Mort has hit a second gear, flipped the switch. He doesn't want any part of the last lap lunge. Ryan Mort is trying to run away with this victory.
Yeah, that's what's going to be.
Meanwhile, oh, in the backstretch, we have a Kart around. Kart turned around on the backstretch. Can't quite see exactly who it is.
Yeah, going to be really interesting to see what exactly happened there. I'm going to head back and see if I can get a replay.
That is the 64 of Mason Gallion, who was running in that 4th position, battling Dane Van Dyke for 3rd. Heartbreak for Gallion, who had every possibility to make the last lap pass and get that final podium position. Back out front, it's all Ryan Mort walking away from AJ Stoner as they go through Daytona. Van Dyke holding on 3rd over Evan Patton and Landon Boer. Boer tries to make a move on Patton to get around him, can't quite. Back up front, AJ Stoner closes through, can't quite get it. And your winner for KA Junior is Ryan Mort. AJ Stoner 2nd, and a big gaggle on the backstretch through Daytona, and it's Landon Boer up to P3. Landon Boer, who was involved in that that early incident with Thomas Anthony, was able to get past Evan Patton, move his way up to 3rd. Anthony looks on the inside of Patton, trying to get 4th. They touch wheels just a tiny bit. Boer 3rd, Patton 4th, Anthony 5th. Dane Van Dyke dropped all the way back to 6th. Very curious to see what happened to Dane Van Dyke. He and Gallion were the ones fighting for that 3rd final podium spot with 2 laps to go. So very curious to see what happened back there. But Ryan Mort is going to be your KA Junior winner. AJ Stoner, Landon Boer fights back to get himself on the podium. Evan Patton, Thomas Anthony, Dane Van Dyke, Alder Klein, Lucian Laser, and Mason Gallion round out your field.
Yeah, Vince had to jump back on the replay spot here just to take a look at what exactly happened there with Dane Van Dyke. As you can see coming through the switchback here, although it is a little bit small, hard to see on your screen, through the entry of the switchback there, you can see contact between those 2 karts and what seems to be the curb on the inside. Yeah, Van Dyke getting, a little bit of, airtime with that other kart there, and then kind of spinning off to the inside by that barrier, facing the wrong direction. Obviously good on Van Dyke to not, accelerate, start going backwards on the track or anything like that, but just interesting to see that all that, ended up unfolding there. Definitely interesting to see, just how close that all was, how that ended up changing the whole face of that battle for 3rd.
Absolutely. Very lucky that no one else got collected in that incident, was able to get through. So very exciting race there. And we turn our eyes to the final race of the doubleheader weekend here at the Indy Karting Challenge at Whiteland Raceway Park. It is 206 Senior Light next up here at Whiteland Raceway Park.
Here we are, round 7 of the Indy Karting Challenge at Whiteland Raceway Park. Beautiful sunny afternoon here in Whiteland, Indiana. 81 degrees out. You can see nice views of the sky here. Here we are for one of our, you could call it the main event, 206 Light final this afternoon at the end of a doubleheader. Lots and lots of racing going on here this weekend. Going to be really interesting to see how this last race today ends up playing out.
Yeah, 206 Senior Light, always one of the more exciting classes out here. Very happy to have them as our nightcap here tonight to round out the weekend. That heat race was very exciting. Eli Fox was able to hold it off over Braden Johnson, and that will be your front row, the New Gen Motorsports 01 of Eli Fox and the AMAX Racing 26 of Braden Johnson. Row number 2, Jared Howerton and Levi Wilbur. Row number 3, it's an AMAX third row of Cami Pfister and Raider Santos. Row number 4, Gage Justiniano, Dominic Stancombe. Row 5, Keegan Day, Ethan Williams. And the 6th and final row, Nick Patton and Kyle Landon, who had started outside pole in that heat race and had some issues taking the green flag. But here we go, they are rolling out of grid, hot, ready to go, ready for 9 minutes plus 2 laps of final action here today at the Indy Karting Challenge at Whiteland Raceway Park.
Yeah, here we are. We're set up perfectly nice as the sun is starting to set in the background, getting ready to take the green for the 206 Light Final.
Drivers doing their final tire scrubbing, ready to go. They're all in the trim lines just waiting for the flag from Adam Boros. Waiting, green, green, green. Great start from Eli Fox and Jared Howerton. And again, that outside row just doesn't go. Braden Johnson's going to drop back to 3rd. Luckily, he didn't drop back to 4th or 5th, but he's going to hold on to 3rd now.
Lots of karts going too wide through that second set of corners there, as we still see some too wide action going through here, the Death Valley.
Wilbur throws it on the inside to put his way up to P4. 2, 3 wide on the exit of Death Valley. This is going to be interesting on the long run down the back straight into the switchback. Got one kart off the pace a little bit. Looked like that might have been Raider Santos just backing out of it. I don't want any part of what's going on. You guys are taking a little bit too wide on the first lap of the race, and he gets back, puts his head down, and gets back in the saddle.
Yeah, as a driver, your critical decision at that point is you're going nearly 3 wide into one of the most difficult corners to go 3 wide into. So the question is, who exactly backs out first? Who goes when? And for the most part, that got answered pretty cleanly there, with some drivers maybe lifting a little bit to make sure they could go more single file through the banked corner.
Yeah, so much first lap action. That's going to allow your top 3 of Fox, Howerton, and Johnson to really create a big gap for themselves, a gap themselves between Howerton and Johnson, but even bigger, back to the 4th place of Levi Wilbur, who is all alone. Behind Wilbur, you have Pfister, Justiniano, Day and Landon all trying to work together, need to form up and start pushing each other if they want to catch up to Wilbur and hopefully this top 3.
Yeah, Howerton running nose to tail there through the 180. Maybe got a little bit of airtime on the exit with one of those curbs, but yeah, interesting to see that already. It's pretty clear that they have probably been working together to try and build up what a gap they can to Johnson on back.
Top 2 just content to just run away with each other right now. Farther back in the field, we see a battle forming between Gage Justiniano and Keegan Day trying to get that 6th place position. Wilbur's still stretching out his gap back to 5th. Pfister starting to get a gap back to 6th place as well. While it may be all in good because you don't have to worry about a threat from behind, you're not going to gain on that kart in front if you don't have any help.
Yeah, interestingly, what we're seeing here now is it seems to be developing into a 3-kart battle for the lead. Johnson there starting to close up on Howerton.
Yeah, this time by the gap between 2nd and 3rd is only half a second. Last time by it was 8/10, so Johnson gaining about 3/10 a lap on Howerton right now. Meanwhile, farther back in the field, all are playing nice. And Kyle Landon looks to the inside of Keegan Day for just a moment, backs out, can't quite get it done. And there we go, Landon making the move on Day again. Can he get it done this time? Oh, and we have contact over there, and a car is in the barriers. It looked like Landon and Day got together. Don't know who that is in the barriers, but they just had absolutely zero place to go, and it looks like that's going to be the 42 of Ethan Williams. Landon making an inside move on Keegan Day. They get together. Day gets turned just a bit, and Williams straight off into the barriers.
Yeah, it was unfortunate to see all that happen there, as you know, that was really close between all those karts that were involved.
Meanwhile, back on the racing surface, it's still all Eli Fox, Jared Howerton, and Braden Johnson. Johnson still working hard to close that gap up to second. Levi Wilbur in fourth. Cami Pfister rounds out your top five. She's broken away a little bit. Gage Justiniano in sixth is also broken away, gotten away after that incident with Day, Landon, and Williams. After that, it's Landon, Stancombe, Day, Patton. This time through the 180 complex, it definitely looks like Johnson gets a better run. Now can he keep the momentum going through the Stinger Oval? Still just a little bit of a gap there, but he's closer than he's been before. Gap is now down to 0.3 of a second for Braden Johnson.
Yeah, unfortunately, Vince, just check the replays. It doesn't seem like we had any good angle on exactly what happened there, just some angles of the aftermath in the kart going into the barrier.
Johnson has finally caught the rear bumper of Howerton as they go through Death Valley. Johnson's right there. He now makes this officially a 3-kart race for the win. Wilbur, 5 seconds back in fourth place. He's really going to need some help from Cami Pfister, who needs help of her own to get up there to catch each other. Meanwhile, we do see the 42 of Ethan Williams pulling off track, so glad to see that that driver is okay and was able to continue his way back to the pits. That time by, the gap between Fox and Howerton, and then Howerton and Johnson was identical. 0.210 seconds. They are in lockstep. It looks like we had a kart slow coming through the 180 complex. I think that might have been the 7. Yeah, that is the 7 of Keegan Day, slow through the 180. That's going to drop him back to 11th.
At this point, we're a little over 4 minutes left in the race. The top 3 still hanging close together.
We see a battle form between Stancombe and Landon. Right now, give the spot to Dominic Stancombe. He's in a battle of his own right now with Kyle Landon and Raider Santos. That is for that 7th, 8th, 9th position. Turning our attention back to the lead. Johnson dropped off just a little gap that time, 0.4 of a second. As Kyle Landon makes a right turn and exits the raceway, Kyle Landon is going to finish off 11th. Not a good set of races for the driver of the 02. And the only battle we have out here right now, as everyone is kind of by themselves, is the battle for the podium positions, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, Fox, Howerton, Johnson.
Yeah, if there was a way to have it, if there was a way to be if there ever was any options for there to be battles, this is obviously the most ideal one. The 3 podium places all up for grabs as we see a move to the inside through the first corner.
Put Howerton to the point. Jared Howerton gets past Eli Fox going through turn 1. Braden Johnson takes a little peek, see if he can follow, can't quite do it. Now we'll see how Fox can push.
Onto the back straight, we're gonna have to see if anybody has a good run out of Death Valley. It doesn't seem like anybody's really gonna stand out here, but they might be able to set up a move into the 180. Still seems to be nose to tail here as they come into the Stinger Oval.
Right now, all 3 of them are playing nice, minding their P's and Q's. We've got just under 2 minutes left in 2 laps. I do not expect this to stay so pleasant for much longer.
we're starting to hit the threshold where we are getting to the end of the race. We're running out of time. If there is a point to make a move, you're starting to get to the point where you have no other options but to make it right now. So I really do agree with you there, Vince, that for this battle for first, within these top 3 on these podium positions, we're going to see things heat up quite a bit.
Yeah, I'm reminded almost of the mini switch final with Dominic Gaddis. He waited until the very last set of corners to try and make a move on Daniel Guerra, and he couldn't get it done. Will these drivers who have more experience know that, or do they think they are the ones who will be able to get it done? Fox has been good about passing in the oval all day as well, so is Johnson. We'll just have to wait and see when one of these 2 drivers behind Howerton decides to pull out, try to make something work.
Yeah, from our perspective, it's hard to tell. Who knows who's holding back? Who knows who has more to give? And we're going to have to see as we get through these closing stages, because you never know if somebody's holding back in one corner, just waiting, saving some kind of move, as we finally see some movement here as we get a new person in second place, but right back, it was swapped. The positions were swapped right back.
Braden Johnson, Eli Fox battling over, under, 2 over-unders in a row. Who's going to come out in second place after Death Valley? Right now, it is Braden Johnson. Fox looking on the inside. Fox backs out just enough. He's going to get up right on the rear bumper of Braden Johnson as they run through Daytona into the 180 complex. Through the 180 complex, this is what Jared Howerton wants to see. Let these 2 fight behind me. Let them try and run each other harder. Let me run away. But now everyone's kind of settled out to go as we have 3 laps to go. We're at the line.
Yeah, what's going to be critical for Johnson and Fox here is that they don't let Howerton run away with it.
Gaps that time, half a second between Howerton and Johnson. And Johnson and Fox was half a second as well. All 3 running almost identical lap times there, as Johnson's going to try to close back up on the rear bumper of Howerton exiting Death Valley.
Seems on the exit there, Fox might have been dropping back just a little bit. We're going to have to see if that draft is going to be able to close them back up.
Johnson right on the rear bumper of Howerton as we enter the 180 complex. Johnson right there. Fox still a little bit back behind, but he'll be able to catch up if he hits his marks here as we come to 2 laps to go. Opposite sticks in the air for Jared Howerton. Officially 2 laps to go. Gap that time between Howerton and Johnson, 0.2 of a second. Another 4.5 tenths back to Fox. Howerton out in front. Johnson matching his line almost perfectly. Doesn't want any part of a hard-charging Eli Fox behind him.
Yeah, Johnson is really just trying to make the most of this as he starts to go around the outside.
Tries to make the move, can't make it stick. He is going to suck right back up on the rear bumper of Howerton, though, as they come down the back straight into the switchback in Daytona corner. If they start fighting, Eli Fox will be right there to take advantage. Does Johnson look to make a move here? No, he's going to wait. Johnson closes up again as Howerton clips just a little bit of that curb entering the Stinger Oval as they come to the white flag. 1 lap to go here at Whiteland Raceway Park.
Yes, 1 lap to go. It's Howerton, Johnson, Fox in the senior light final.
Johnson doesn't go yet. He's going to wait. Now he goes Johnson to the inside. Can he make it stick past Howerton? Yes, put Johnson in the point, but Howerton's not done fighting yet. Howerton inside looking at these over-unders. Make that Johnson. Who is going to get the run? It is going to be Johnson right now. Fox is actually going to get past Howerton too, and this is a full-on battle down the back straight. Johnson in the point for now. Eli Fox looking. He's going to get right behind Johnson's rear bumper coming through Daytona, entering the 180 complex. What does Eli Fox do here? Does he look? No, he's going to follow him. He has liked this oval pass all day long, coming down to the line on his bumper. Does he look? Johnson defends well, holding it tight down below. And Braden Johnson is going to win your 2:06 senior light final. Eli Fox second, Jared Howerton third, Levi Wilbur fourth. And Stuart, that was a heck of a finish, heck of a defensive last lap by the AMAX Racing driver. Congratulations, Braden Johnson. All 3 of them, they had a really good, tight, clean battle. And that's what you want to see in a class as competitive as this.
Yeah, I mean, really, Fox capitalized on that. All those battles that were going on there. Took advantage of what he saw, and from there just seemed to didn't look back. I mean, after those moves through Death Valley, there wasn't any real pressure that was able to be put on after that, which is kind of interesting since we have seen some of these critical race moves made in the Stinger Oval here on the inside. That time we really didn't, but I think a lot of that is down to Johnson defending expertly, coming in there before going to the last corner just to make sure that there was absolutely no opportunity for an overtake to be made.
Absolutely. That was some of the best defensive driving on that last lap I've seen today with Braden Johnson. So once again, Braden Johnson, your winner here in 2:06 Senior Light. Eli Fox P2, Jared Howerton finishes third. Levi Wilbur, Cami Pfister, Dominic Stancombe, Gage Justiniano, Raider Santos, Nick Patton, Keegan Day round out your top 10, and Kyle Landon and Ethan Williams, who pulled off earlier, finish 11th and 12th. Well, that does it here for us at the Indy Karting Challenge here at Whiteland Raceway Park in Stewart. It was a great day of racing. I really like these doubleheader weekends. You know, you really get your money's worth. Had a couple incidents today, but for the most part, everyone kept it clean, and it was a pleasure working with you. And we can't wait until we're back on Wednesday, July 31st, for our first running of the Sundown Sprints series here at Whiteland Raceway Park. Yes, Wednesday, July 31st, the Sundown Sprints. 4 classes under the lights here at the historic Whiteland Raceway Park.
Yeah, it was really interesting to see all the action this weekend. 2 different layouts, very different challenges in each of them, considering they were going completely opposite directions. But it was great to see all the action we had over this weekend. Certainly a long weekend, and that allowed us to see a lot. So, yeah, pleasure working with you today, Vince. This was fun. Even though normally, okay, and just take me out live on the camera, that's fine too. Normally on the technical side, and I'm normally on the technical side of all this.
I'm normally on the facilities side.
Yeah, facilities side.
It's a nice change of pace, but from the bottom of our hearts, for all of us at Whiteland Raceway Park Indy Karting Challenge, all the staff, we thank each and every one of you for racing with us, watching us, and we hope you have a great rest of your Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, we hope to see you again soon here at Whiteland Raceway Park.
Welcome to the Kart Indianapolis experience at Whiteland Raceway Park. Indy's premier outdoor karting circuit, Whiteland Raceway Park is just 20 minutes south of downtown Indy and the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Our trackside event center and high-speed go-karts make Whiteland Raceway Park the perfect destination for your next event or party. Stop in today or book your race online at racewrp.com and experience real racing right here in Indy.
We're at a commercial break.
Brandon, why are there all these charges for just over $200 from Acceleration Kart Racing's website?
That's because AKR gives you free shipping on orders of $200 or more within the continental US.
Okay, but I thought you were just getting a pair of gloves. That's what, 70 bucks?
But if I'm getting a new pair of gloves, I might as well get a new pair of shoes to match. And then on top of that, I'll get a neck brace because with the shipping, it's basically free.
Yeah, I do not think the math checks out on that.
Everything you need, all in one place and shipped to your door for free for orders of $200 or more. Exclusions apply. Spend responsibly. Shop AKR.com.
Are you ready to get behind the wheel? From Formula One to NASCAR and IndyCar, all the pros start here. For more information, check us out online at mcckarting.com or call us and go racing today.